Peter O'Toole was in Lawrence of Arabia, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. He would have been a great Joker in his younger.
You know, Frank Sinatra actually auditioned to be the Joker
On the TV show?
Yeah,
That would have been
how
awesome.
fucking awesome! Yeah, that would have been mega awesome.
Ring-a-ding-ding, Batman! That would have been badass.
Robin, what are you doing? I got
What are you
pieces of you
doing?
bigger than you in my stool.
Oh, look!
Put a smile
it's the
on
Cape
that face
Crusader.
of yours.
It's the
Why
Cape-
Oh,
so
yeah.
serious, Patsy?
Oh, you think you're gonna be a tough guy?
It's your father's
Please tell me we're
lightsaber.
recording this.
We are.
Nerd Exchange of Western Pennsylvania is proud to present The Nerd Exchange, a show celebrating the region's contributions to art and culture with the very best in nerdly review and enlightened geek critique. With your host, Tim Sedgwick. That's me. Living what we love and learning something cool and new every day.
Yeah.
So let's get this game started, shall we? Because this podcast goes up to 11.
Sit around and figure out if I'm wasting time. Wait for the sign. It's time to shine, shine, shine. Wait for the sign. It's time to shine, shine, shine.
What is that, by the way?
That's our theme song.
Yeah, but
Carbon leaf.
That's Carbon Leaf
Oh,
Shine.
really? I never-
Available on iTunes. Buy it. They're a great band.
Did you
Yes,
tell
they
you it
are.
was okay to use it?
Yes.
Really?
I actually have, in an email, actual permission in perpetuity to use that piece of intellectual property.
Carbon leaf.
That's when Julia, our intrepid producer, realized, oh, fuck, this is actually happening.
Banana. Beep, banana.
But anyway, welcome to the Nerd Exchange. It's the end of the year wrap-up.
Booyah!
Party!
Wrap up.
And we're gonna talk about some stuff. Moment of silence, please. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a Duck Dynasty rant, just a little bit. Everybody saw your Redscape 5.
Disclaimer. He
Listen,
told us about this before.
Disclaimer: these are my opinions. They are not necessarily opinions of Kyle Sember, Mikey Wood, who is our guest, by the way. Hey, Mike.
What's up?
And Julia Englert, our intrepid producer.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Tim Sedgwick, but nobody gives a crap about that.
Yeah, but
So, okay.
You kind of skipped introduction, so I was trying to set you up.
Well, that's where it's...
Go fuck yourself if you don't want me to help.
Oh.
Listen, she switched my coffee for decaf. I don't want to talk about
Did
it.
you seriously do
No,
that? to that
We
woman?
secretly switched his coffee to
No,
decaf.
it was supposed to be a funny joke, but now that you've actually made it so she's offended by my funny
So
joke.
come on, the duck.
I was
I'm
offended
hilarious.
before he even got involved.
about-
I'm offensive. I will put on my fleece pants.
Talk about the mighty ducks.
Anyway, Duck
what are
Dynasty.
these?
For those of you who have been living in a cave, Phil Robertson, the patriarch, their word, not mine, of the Duck Dynasty clan,
Well, he's the dad.
said some pretty, some people think kooky things about gay people and black people in a GQ interview recently, and he's been indefinitely suspended, I'm doing air quotes here, by A&E, which basically means they're going to air the next 9 episodes that he's in, realize that twice as many people are going to be watching and putting him right back on there, and so I have some opinions to share about this. First of all, A&E suspending him was dumb. They shouldn't have done it. They knew what they were getting into when they hired them. You know, like Conan O'Brien had a great thing about oh my goodness, duck hunting guy from southern Louisiana doesn't like gay people. Quite shocking. And people are giving me some hell about this because people say, well, wait, weren't you the guy who was in support of the boycott of Ender's Game and Orson Scott Card for his anti-gay beliefs? To which I say, yes, but the difference comes down to economics, capitalism, and demographics. The thing with Orson Scott Card was, as a science fiction writer, his main audience, his main economic constituency was liberals. I don't have the science to back this up, but my gut still tells me that a vast majority of the people who consume sci-fi and fantasy, where it's part of their lives, where it's a big part of their lives, are either liberals or serious, don't give a fuck, leave other people alone moderates. So for him to try to get money from people who don't think that gays are gross and whatnot was just dumb because it went against his constituency. In the same way that when the Dixie Chicks were destroyed for saying something mean about President Bush, too close to 9/11, and everyone who bought their records stopped buying their records, was that infringement of free speech? No. Because 95% of people who consume country music as voraciously as we consume science fiction and fantasy stuff are conservative. So if you mess with your economic constituency and you deal with the backlash, those are just kind of the breaks. Now, oh, Mikey. I asked Mikey not to talk while I do this little rant, so he's writing me funny notes. Now, here's the thing. People who watch A&E, who watch that, and the thing is, A&E isn't even an artsy-fartsy channel anymore.
Hasn't been for years.
No, but I was looking at the, what do you call it, the on-demand,
Mm-hmm.
and all their stuff is Duck Dynasty, Hoarders, Rodeo Girls, Swamp People, crap like that. So the thing is, economically, I think a lot of the people that watch the program agree with him. I'm not saying that makes his comments right or correct, but I think he could have said it more artfully. Though I mean, the way he said it was just so crude and crass and ridiculous. I mean, to go straight from what do you think is a sin is like people who like anuses instead of beautiful vaginas. That's not a way to discuss it. That's not a way to, like, I could say, okay, you want to talk about sin? Being rich is a sin.
Beautiful vaginas.
Being rich and not giving money to the poor is a sin. And it's something that Jesus actually talks about in the Bible. So, if someone were to ask me, is like, what do you think is sinful? It's like, well, I think people who don't realize that if you're rich and don't give your money to the poor, I think they lack empathy. Because obviously, one of the things about Christianity is you're supposed to put yourself in other people's shoes. And if you hoard all your money and are a miser, obviously, you don't have any empathy. And you know who else doesn't have any empathy? Child molesters. So therefore, it's a slippery slope. If you're a rich person and you don't give away your money, then you're a child molester. Which is pretty much the science that Phil, what's-his-name, has between, well, you know, the slippery slope from being gay to being a bestial. Like, if you love somebody of your own same sex as you, then you're going to be a horse fucker. Pretty much the same thing.
You know, for the record, he did not come out against bestiality.
It's true. It's true.
And in his defense, it was also a damn sexy horse.
He didn't say it was bad. He just said it led to it. And then my final point on this.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, do we need to stop and start over again?
No.
Because
So far, so good.
You were doing so
Anyway.
well.
Horse fucker.
Anyway,
The guys who want to have sex
the
with
same
horses
time
are
this
having
came
sex
out,
with horses.
the same time this came out,
And you can tell them by their broken knees.
the same time this came out, this interview, Utah made gay marriage legal.
Really?
Let that sink in. Let that wash over your soul. At the same time, Phil Robertson was going, queers is gross. Utah, federal court said, yeah, you can't discriminate against people anymore. Sorry. So my main point to the people who hate gay marriage and hate gay people, just stop it. You lost. You lost. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You lost.
The South rise again.
It will not unless it has enough Viagra. Because listen, because there are people out there in this country who believe wholeheartedly that the Supreme Court's decision to prove unconstitutional the idea of a black and a white getting married as being unconstitutional, they still think that's wrong, that's race mixing, that's wrong, Jesus hates that. And my feeling is that those are the same people that watch Duck Dynasty.
That's kind of a broad generalization. I don't think everyone who watches Duck Dynasty
I'm
is that much...
just saying there could be some cross-contamination within the fandoms.
So boy, does Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. suck.
Oh!
Boy,
I'm
is
getting
that
more
a
coffee.
piece of garbage.
Listen, you talk about that. I'm getting more coffee.
This got hardcore.
No, I can't just let you have the only say on this.
That just
Okay,
got
go ahead.
so...
'Cause
this is
the
not what I signed up for.
No, this is going to be very short. Because my only point is...
That's what he said.
Yeah, right. No, but the point that I want to make about it is just that you don't know what the fuck was in his contract. You don't know what the fuck was in his contract, and if his contract specifically said you're not allowed to voice opinions, you're not allowed to use the fame from this as a platform to put down.
Are you talking about the morals clause?
Right,
That
yeah,
is
a
a
lot of
completely
shows
valid point.
And because if there was a morals clause in his contract, it doesn't matter if he was pandering to the audience or offending the general audience. It doesn't matter what your target audience is then.
Right, and that's part of the economics too, because a lot of people, especially in the conservative blogosphere, as they call it, say it was a First Amendment right issue. It's not First Amendment because, yes, if there was a morals clause, they are completely within their rights to invoke it. What I'm saying is, it was a dumb move to make because it's the most popular quote-unquote non-fiction cable show ever.
Right, but if it was in his contract that this was a violation of a morals clause of it, it was probably also in his contract that it would be a violation of A&E's end of the contract to not pursue it.
No, I just think I think you guys are overthinking it. I mean, I think that it's just A&E.
What,
is
nerds overthinking things?
I think A&E as a network has a certain they have a certain what am I trying to say here? They have a certain, they're a business.
They don't want bad publicity.
Well, I mean, but in the long term, when you look at it, what did they do that weekend after the whole thing went down with him? They had a marathon or 2 or 3 of that
Yeah,
show.
it was still
I've seen
on.
one episode of the show where they build a pool in the backyard to see if ducks would respond to their duck calls or something. That's the most I've ever seen of Duck Dynasty, and I'm perfectly fine with it. As all I've ever seen of Duck Dynasty. Good, more power to you. But the thing is that more and more companies are standing up for the rights of more and more people because they don't want to limit their audiences, and they don't want to be assholes. I mean, I think
Not wanting to be assholes?
it's
Yes.
a business matter. It's a business decision, but it's also a human rights don't be an asshole decision.
Okay.
And what he said was
Listen,
his belief, but it wasn't a violation of anything.
Let me straighten my point a little bit.
There's a
On
lot
the left, we also had an artsy farts network that did a lot of like operas and masterpiece theater and stuff like that, and interview shows and whatnot. And they made a business decision to go after a demographic, the demographic being the gay demographic. Mm-hmm. And they went from having like Inside the Actor Studio and stuff like that to having RuPaul's Drag Race. They made an economic decision to go after a certain demographic. Okay, and that network was called Bravo. Mm-hmm. My point is, A&E has already switched. Even though it didn't make an announcement it was going to, if you look at its programming, it's already made the decision to stop being a highbrow, cultured network and go after the lowest common denominator. So even though, yes,
every other channel in the history of ever at this.
well, yeah, but some of them go our way. Some of them go the liberal way. MSNBC was a very centrist thing for a long time, and then after 9/11, and after, especially after they destroyed Kerry, in 2004, they said, no, screw it, we're going to make the conscious decision, we're going to have the progressive/liberal voice.
Mm-hmm. I think what it comes down to, really, for me personally, is that they have to stop giving idiots television shows. They never will, but
Yeah,
they
you
have
watch
to.
it. Yeah.
They have to stop. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
They're
I
playing
don't watch
to their
it.
demographic.
My not watching their show is not even a drop in the bucket. It doesn't even make a difference. Who gives a shit if I don't watch their show, right? You know, but the point is that there are people being made celebrities who are not celebrities. There are Kardashians and there are Paris Hiltons and there are Sarah Palins, who are people that really need large chunks of machinery to fall on top of them. I would watch that show. I would
metaphorically
TiVo
speaking.
the shit out of that show. Do they TiVo?
We need to get Johnny
Do they
Knoxville
still
on
TiVo?
that.
Yes.
You know, he
I
could
would-
turn that into a series.
Seriously, I would watch I would watch those people all like I said.
Real celebrity death matches.
Yeah, like Thunderdome, like ass Thunderdome, like throw Rush Limbaugh.
Whoa.
Kardashian
Ass
versus
Thunderdome
J-Lo.
sounds like a completely different
Wait.
kind of show.
Kim Kardashian versus Jennifer Lopez and the ass off to end all ass offs.
No, I mean, what it comes down to is, for me, I think that when you are under I don't know what the clauses were in his contract and things like. And even if it does violate a clause in his contract, it's still not a. Let's get that out of the way, and then put this to bed and start talking about fun stuff.
Yes.
It's in no way, at all. No matter how you look at it, no matter what angle you turn it, is it a First Amendment right violation?
Right.
He has every right in the world to say whatever he wants, be it something that I personally agree with, you personally agree with, or the rest of the world personally agree, or not. His bosses have the right to not like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are absolutely within their limits to say, we don't like that, you know.
Right, and
But-
his boss is saying you aren't allowed to say shit like that is completely
But
different from the government
at the
swooping
s-
in and saying you aren't allowed to say
At
shit
the
like
same
that.
time, it looks not very mysteriously a lot like publicity stuff, because they did have a marathon. Whether the marathon was already in the planning or not, strategically, he runs his mouth. People get upset. Bang! There's a Duck Dynasty marathon on
and
this.
you
I don't
might-
think it was really planned because any given weekend there's probably a Duck Dynasty.
No, but it was
marathon.
planned because this interview was done a couple months ago, and they knew when it was going to come out. And
okay.
somebody must have known. Somebody was sitting there from A&E while he was saying these things. I think you might be right.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe this is their big coming out party is, guess what? We're just going to go after the conservatives that think
out
gays are gross. And think black people had it better when they weren't so uppity. We're just going to go for the demographic. We're going to be the arts
their
and
whole-
entertainment of the South.
Their whole image of that show is manufactured. You can look at pictures of them from 5 years ago where they're all khaki wearing.
No. That's from
clean-shaven.
20 years ago.
20 years ago?
I know because
It
those,
takes a long time
those
to grow a
boys,
beard.
those boys are the same age as me, and I can remember wearing some of that stupid shit. That's stuff's from like the early
they weren't
90s.
always, they weren't always
That
this.
was my goth period.
This
They were-
sort of thing, yeah.
When's it gonna
Yep.
end?
Anyway,
I'm giving
Anyway,
him the look for
anyway.
those of you at home.
just be kind to one another. Be kind to one another.
Yeah.
If
and
it isn't
be
your thing,
stop
it
it.
isn't your
Yes,
thing.
the Church of Bill and
Yeah,
Ted. Be
just-
excellent
just
to each
be
other.
kind to one another. There are different people in the world, and different people are wonderful. And the country is not a Christian country as much as they want to fight for it. But
I have
Christians
opinions
are
about that,
perfectly-
but I'm not going to talk
No.
about them right
Yeah.
now because
The
Yeah, for the
idea
love
of this
God, can we
country.
get to the actual
people-
nerd part
Okay,
of the nerd
so-
exchange?
Yeah,
this
people
is
can-
okay. So look,
Last
hey, listen.
thing.
This is a big thing in pop culture, and this is a nerd pop culture podcast, so we had to say something about it. So now our opinions are known. Now let's talk about something that's really, really important, a lot more important than this Duck Dynasty shit. So, Paul Rudd is Ant-Man, and go.
Who cares?
Yay!
You sons of... Get out of my house!
I liked Ant-Man better when he was the Atom. I think they actually came out about around very similar time. I think the Atom was first.
The Atom is
Actually,
older, but Ant-Man...
not by much, though.
Is not... Ant-Man is not...
Well, look it up. You've got
Listen,
the interwebs.
listen. I don't have to, because unlike you, I like good comics, i.e. Marvel comics,
really
and I
like-
actually know something
I
about
like
the
Paul
history
Rudd,
of
though.
them.
I think Paul Rudd's cool. I think it's
Paul
cool.
Rudd is awesome. Here's the thing about Ant-Man. For those of you who don't know, those of you who maybe you're into the movies but haven't really gotten into the comics,
He talks to
and you
ants.
say, Ant-Man, okay, so he can shrink down and he can talk to ants. Why is that cool? This is why it's cool. Because Hank Pym, who is the character that becomes Ant-Man, is Tony Stark if Tony Stark was broke. Okay? So,
And beaten.
the only reason why he's a hero, in quotes, he is because he needs money to do his research because he's trying to strike it rich the way Tony Stark's father struck it rich. And so you have that whole dynamic between him and it's like, I've done more things with my money, with my science. It's like, yeah, because your dad got money from making bombs. Fuck you. So the entire story arc of Ant-Man is he invents things that either he doesn't have the intellectual property for, or things that have no practical application, like, I invented a helmet that allows me to talk with insects.
We just saw Iron Man with no budget in Iron Man 3.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that you are bound to be more successful by making weapons than you are by making things that may or may not actually help society.
But borne out
Speaking of
by
which,
the story arcs of Marvel Comics from 1963 to 1993, yes, that's kind of...
Well, speaking of that, a moment of silence for Mikhail Karishnikov, not Mikhail Baryshnikov. He's a ballet dancer who I believe is... No, he's still around. But Karishnikov is the guy who invented the AK-47, the assault weapon that has killed more people than any other assault weapon in the world. He passed away at the age of 94 today. So, Russian inventor.
Way to bring down the show.
No, but you know...
Wow, you couldn't do this before the Duck Dynasty thing?
But no, you know...
Can I finish with my Hank Pym
It was a
thing,
segue,
please?
weaponry segue.
I understand what you were trying to do, but
we're going to give you the riddle
I'll do
now.
anything to get you to stop talking about Hank Pym.
it's not going to happen.
Hank Pym
It's not
also
gonna
beat his
Hank
wife
Pym
a whole
is a
lot.
tragic figure who ends up going to jail for murder because he kills a bad guy. But he does it in a way that's kind of like, well, no.
Bites him a lot. He has his ants bite him a lot. So Stanley, can you imagine Stanley's like, so Stan, we need a new hero. Well, Spider-Man worked real well. Why don't we make Ant-Man? And then, you know...
Actually,
Ant-Man came out before Spider-Man.
They just did the origin of Ant-Man on that show I talk about, Top the Fourth Wall. He always does like origin episodes every November.
Ant-Man came out
He did
before
Ant-Man. Ant-Man actually started out in one of their sci-fi anthology series. I don't think he was originally planned.
That
to
was
be a
Murray
superhero.
Ant-Man. He was a certified public
Anyway,
accountant.
Hank Pym is a tragic figure and a tragic hero whose hubris and his...
Ant-Man and Giant Man and Goliath.
Should we
and
start
Yellow
over?
Jacket and...
No,
this is
I'm just
great
laughing
fun.
at Mikey.
This is great fun.
I mean, I've only seen the Ultimate Universe Ant-Man, who was repugnant and who I would never want to see a movie about.
That issue where
He was
Captain America
psychotic.
took him down. Oh, there's an issue of the Ultimates. If you've never read the Ultimates, it's kind of like the Avengers for adults.
Yeah, and it's a little
The first
too
appearance
dark
of
and
Ant-Man is January of 1962.
1962. And Spider-Man was
1962.
65? Three. Okay.
Okay, so
Neat.
whatever. But, yeah, I've seen that version, and I've seen the Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon series version. Neither one would I'll be interested in seeing a movie version of, but you know what? I've been wrong about Marvel movies before.
I am psyched
So-
about this because this, for the first time, let's look at the other Avengers, okay? That they've done movies about or they're doing movies about. Got Banner, super smart. Mm-hmm. Kind of in a similar situation. He doesn't have his own money. He's using government money.
Anger issues.
Super serum, boom. All of a sudden, he's a raging hero. Okay?
A raging hero.
He's a raging hero. Black Widow.
I thought
the best
North Star
spy.
is the raging hero.
Will you just shut the fuck up for a minute? I will turn this podcast around and we will not get to go to Kennywood.
North Star is the raging hero.
If he turns the podcast around, we're going to be talking about Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, we're gonna start over.
No,
We're gonna start over with my Duck Dynasty rant again.
No, don't do it.
Black Widow, the best super spy ever. And Julie, I swear to Christ, if you keep looking at me like that, I'm just gonna stop it.
Like what?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So you got
Hank Pym, okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
he loves his marble. No, so you've got
For real, talk amongst yourselves.
You've got.
I need to smoke a cigarette and calm down because y'all are being fucking fuckwads.
I mean, Marvel does a lot of like science-based heroes. I mean, everybody's sort of like Captain America is the result of a science-related issue, and who else? Iron Man is clearly like science engineering, that kind of thing. So yeah, so you got this Ant-Man guy who is Ant-Man has been multiple things. He has been he was his Ant-Man thing, he learns how to shrink and talk to... He doesn't just talk to ants, for people who don't know. He shrinks down and
Now, is he also Giant Man?
he was Giant Man.
Okay, so they
He
could
was-
go that route, too, with the character.
He was Goliath.
Which I think would be a lot more interesting, seeing a guy who can, like,
Yeah.
grow big and take on crap like Godzilla. Sounds like a lot more interesting than a movie about a guy fighting ants.
He was
what do I-
Yellow Jacket. That's another one. I think that's it. He's been many different things at many different points. But at one point he was married to the Wasp.
Which he was also in the Ultimate Universe.
Right. She's another shrinking. She shrinks down to Wasp's size and has these little wings and flies around and shoots these little stingy laser things. And then there was they did address in the comics at one point. They addressed spousal abuse because he also did that once or twice. So he's not a very nice guy.
I doubt that's a route they're going to want to go in the
Well,
film.
yeah, I don't. That's why I wish Tim was out here. I don't think so either. I mean, Paul Rudd has a tendency to play either kind of like. I mean, no, he always plays sort of like a goofy, sort of nice guy kind of. Sometimes he plays like Dick really well, but it's like goofy, like you're like the roommate guy that you never got along with. Dick.
Right.
He's never. I mean, I don't picture them making an entire.
It's not
movie.
like a hurtful kind of dickish way. It's
Yeah, I don't see them basing an entire film on a hero who's an asshole. Like nobody's going to.
Are you gonna let me finish now?
I don't know.
Okay.
You gonna shut the fuck up?
Okay.
And let me make my point for the listeners who might be interested in a better kind of superhero movie, the one that shows actual pathos, that shows an actual character development and arc, and something tragic that happens within the comic book world that can mirror our own experiences. That might be a metaphor for the way America acts in the world.
Okay.
That's what's going to make it great. The only thing that's going to make people go to see that movie is this is an actual movie. You can't just put a guy in a suit. You can't just turn a guy into a Hulk. You can't just have a guy slinging webs. For anybody to go to see Ant-Man, for it to make its money back, people have to have an actual dramatic story. And they're actually finally trying it. And they could have not. They could have just kept going with characters that are more cardboard cutout, but they didn't. And I think that's awesome. I think Paul Rudd is such a good actor and also really good at playing a prick. If you've never seen Role Models, see Role Models. Imagine that to the nth degree, like that character, but he's a super genius. And I think it's going to be awesome.
But I doubt they're going to go that way. It's directed by Edgar Wright. It's directed by Edgar Wright.
So?
It's going to be lighthearted.
Do we know who's writing it yet?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I mean, they have, it's, first of all, it's a Disney banner film. They have to sell toys. You're not going to sell action figures of somebody who abuses his wife.
I'm sure he's not going to abuse his wife in the first movie, Mikey.
But oh my god, could you just imagine the action figure of his wife with the removable face where all of a sudden you peel off the normal face and it's like all miscolored and everything?
It'll be like
Spousal
Spider-Man. They'll wait for the third film to get into the spousal abuse.
He's a dick.
Oh, God, Spider-Man
He's a
3.
dick. And he is self-centered, and he's filled with so much hubris. It's ridiculous. In the comic books, he doesn't murder the guy and start beating his wife until the late 70s, early 80s. So I'm saying you can have that story arc without him necessarily beating her.
Okay, like, as more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy, I don't know that much about the character, but a lot of the ways you're describing him is kind of like the way they've been portraying Iron Man in the films, where he has to become a good person through the course of the first film.
Yes, but the thing about Hank Pym is he never does. And one of the reasons he never does is his resentment on never being able to achieve the financial success that Tony Stark has. That's why I think in the Avengers movie, because in the comics, Ultron was created by Hank Pym. Mm-hmm. I think what they're going to do is they're going to show him being a disgruntled worker of Tony Stark's. Remember they say, oh, you have to come to Stark Tower. Everything above the 25th floor is Candyland. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to work in Candyland. But just his bitterness and bile over not being able to achieve the success that he believes he deserves. Mm-hmm. Like, And in the comic book, his wife, who is the character Wasp, who also can shrink down and she can sting people. She has little pew pew rays. It's her love is the only thing that kind of keeps him from becoming Victor Von Doom. Like, were it not for her, and were it not for him surrounding himself with these people who say, no, listen, we're good. We do things for good. Stop being a dick. He completely would have become a supervillain. And that, if they explore that, which I think they will, that will make it the best, the most complete kind of superhero movie that Marvel has made to date.
It'll be like a deeper kind of Marvel film, which they haven't gone all that deep. I mean,
well, they're also going to have. He's not. Did they say that he's playing Hank Pym or that he's because they're also having what's his face, the other Ant-Man. I can't remember the other Ant-Man's name. Is going to be a part of it.
The other Ant-Man?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
What other Ant-Man?
I can't remember his name. The guy that was like most recently in the Irredeemable Ant-Man series. That wasn't Hank Pym. It was Scott something.
No, it's Hank Pym.
No, I'm telling you, look it up. They're going to have Ant-Man and Scott Lang? No.
yeah, but they also had the guy who's going to become War Machine in the first Iron Man film, and we didn't see him in the
Yeah, they're going to have
so
both
that could just be
Ant-Mans
like, you know,
somehow
teasing.
involved. That's why I think it's going to be more. I don't think they're going to go melodrama.
I'm still kind of surprised they're going this route.
I mean,
they're going to throw anything at the screen now. You know?
I could see them going the melodrama route, but I really can't see them going the spousal abuse route. It's just, there's, like he was saying with the toys, it's like, literally, how the hell do you market that? How do you, even though it's going to be in a later movie, it's obviously not going to be in the first, it would have to be in a later one before they could get to it. It's, again, how do you can't, that immediately makes it the kind of thing that you can't market to kids anymore.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, but then you had already had the built-in audience from the first two films. Plus,
Well, yeah, and if
knows who
Ant-Man gets
Spider-Man
3
is.
films, they'll have the built-in audience.
Yeah, possibly.
No, don't get me wrong. I don't think Ant-Man has any chance of getting anywhere near even $500 million. I think they're going to make it for 150. I think it's going to make 300 worldwide, which is going to break even. But within that, you're going to be able to get
You're going to set up other
them,
characters.
you get Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. You're going to be able to get these people into the later Marvel movies.
Now, what's coming out first, Ant-Man or Avengers 2?
Avengers 2.
Okay.
Avengers 2, then Ant-Man.
Well, he's not a part of Avengers 2, so
No, Ant-Man isn't, but they might have Henry Pym.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see them, they set everybody up
Yeah.
in somebody else's film.
You'll probably just have a small role if he does even appear in the film at all. But I could definitely see them doing that just to try to get people kind of interested about the character. I mean, we didn't see all that. I know that they did Incredible Hulk, but that did not do very good numbers. But one of the things that people loved about the Avengers was the Hulk in that movie, and now they want a Hulk movie. So maybe if they put a little bit of that character in that Avengers 2, maybe people will be psyched to see Ant-Man.
well, I have no idea. I mean, everything's conjecture because nobody has any idea of how they're going to actually approach it. You know, they you know, super amounts of pathos and other things are not the style of the Marvel movies. They never were. You know,
They're
it just
more
doesn't-
lighthearted than the Nolan
Yeah, I mean,
verse.
because like I said, they need to keep them PG-13. They need to they need to keep the audience you should be able to take your kids to it. You know that's where the money is.
I think you're comparing apples and guacamole, and here's why. Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
He has, even a 5-year-old could tell, a one-night stand, and then has his secretary cover up for him. So, the usual? Yeah, the usual.
Yeah, but
Hey, he wants you to know that he really likes you and this and that, and he'll call you. Okay? I don't think that's more or less adult than having a guy who is really smart, but really bitter because he thinks he should be getting something he's not getting.
well, I think the other one angle they might do is that he's an incredibly intelligent screw up. He's just like this, you know. I mean, that's it. He's like this super intelligent guy who doesn't have any common sense. I mean, we all know people like that. So you know, it's going to be, like I said, it's Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright directed, like,
And somebody named Joe Komish?
I never heard of him. But yeah, so like it's not, you know, Edgar Wright did Scott Pilgrim and Edgar Wright did Hot Fuzz and Edgar Wright did.
Dude, he got 3 movies for his descent into it. I'm not saying he's going to start out beating his wife and killing a guy. What I'm saying is you have a much larger range of motion for the character. He could start out the first one as being the lovable screw-up who's kind of bitter, but like, wow, I just made this thing. I can talk to ants now. How cool is that? And then you can have the humor of, well, what's the practical application of that? Shut up!
I don't know, maybe
Scott.
you could tell him to go leave your house alone and infest the neighbors instead.
Or some guy that asks a dumb question to me like that.
Scott Shaw?
You can have him steal
No,
pies from picnics.
You had it right before Scott Lang.
Scott Lang, the other Ant-Man. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so Ant-Man's a thing.
So, okay,
Yes,
something we can
I
actually
agree.
agree on.
Ant-Man is a thing. You agree
Here's
on
something we can actually agree on. Groot.
Yeah,
Vin Diesel as Groot.
that's right.
it. Yet again, not familiar with the character.
Groot is a for people not familiar with Groot. Groot is a character in Guardians of the Galaxy, who is basically a walking tree. He's a tree. He's an ent. He's a plant person, and he only says, "I am Groot." That's the only thing he's ever said.
Now, to be clear, he's actually saying a lot of different things, but because his language is so complex, the only thing that humanoids, can't hear him say is, I am Groot.
In various tonalities.
Yes.
So
he could do an entire Shakespearean sonnet. You know, he could do, shall I compare thee to the summer's day, but it would come out as, I am Groot.
that's right. So Vin Diesel.
Wait, let me
Vin
hear top
Diesel
line
having a
Bruce
role where he
again.
has essentially one
I
line
am
of dialogue is fantastic. I think the less lines of dialogue you give Vin Diesel, the better. For
Oh, come
everything.
on! Why you gotta hate on Vin
No.
Diesel?
I think,
Hey, I'm just glad you
Yeah.
said it because I would have if you
I'm
hadn't.
sorry. The Riddick films, he has some personality. And he
Yeah.
has some,
God.
I thought he did. Come on, he made those
Riddick.
movies.
I enjoyed Riddick. I have to give it to you guys, insofar as that he did the Riddick thing and was doing really well, and the Fast and Furious things, and then he said, no, I'm going to expand as an actor. I'm going to do things that are outside of my comfort zone. And those all just failed so miserably that he just kind of went,
Because he's
so
not-
I can be Riddick again, right?
Yeah,
But it
he's
started off
not-
with Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, he was fine as he was in Saving Private Ryan for like 20 minutes.
He
said a
was
few
great in
things.
that.
He
Yeah.
was.
You
He
didn't see what
was.
he was going to turn into in that film whatsoever. Like you
Well,
would
I
never
think-
think that kind of actor would go the
The age of
action exploitation route, but he did, and I
The-
think he does well.
the age of the monosyllabic action hero is dead, which is something that those
Yeah, this-
expendable
No,
movies
no,
have
no.
gotten
Now
into.
say it as Groot. Say it as Groot.
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Yeah. So like the
I am
Expendables
Groot.
movies are great fun because they embrace the fact that they're all
They're exploitation films.
They're dinosaurs.
They're
yeah,
exploitation
and
films.
it's just it's funny now. Like now it's become, you know, you see Schwarzenegger and you see all those, and nobody can take those kind of things seriously anymore.
I
It
mean,
just
like
doesn't-
Schwarzenegger's last non-expendable film, action film, bombs.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger's last action film that was an Expendables film, bombs.
Yeah.
We're just not into it anymore.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
played
Sylvester
out. It's
Stallone when he
played
came
out.
back and did the Rocky.
That was a great
Well,
flick.
That was a very
He
good
did
flick,
it.
I
He did it
thought.
right because he came back and he went, "Oh my goodness,
It's-
people don't. I try to do Judge Dredd. I try to do something dramatic. People want Rocky.
Yeah.
They mean I do Rocky again. So I did Rocky because I'm not really lazy.
And then he did. I didn't see the Rambo thing because it's just not my thing. I just don't.
The Rambo thing was so dark.
Yeah, I know there's a lot
So
of blowing
dark.
up people
I mean,
and dying.
like
Yeah, well, I
First
think
Blood, the original
Is very
Rambo
dark.
movie,
Very dark.
is like on my top 10 of my favorite movies
That's
of
a
all
good flick.
time.
It's not what people think it is. It's
No, people who've never seen it but seen the later ones and go back and go, holy shit, like, because they did turn him into a cartoon character, but then again,
They literally turned him into a
yeah,
cartoon
yeah.
character. I had the action figure.
Well, what? Just so it was a good action figure.
It's one of the few R-rated properties that was made. RoboCop's another one. RoboCop was made into cartoons and stuff for kids. It's like absolutely inappropriate.
So is Conan.
You know, Conan.
Are you going excited about the new RoboCop movie that's coming out?
No.
The reboot?
The trailers and stuff for it don't
I'll-
look terrible.
It's like I say in so many other occasions.
Which
I'll
is pretty
see
much-
it on Netflix because it doesn't
See,
look like
it's
gonna
one of
be-
those things.
Looks like
here's
Dread
the thing
Light
is
to
that
me.
we need
It
to.
does. It really does look like Dreadlight.
We have to understand that even though to us it may seem unnecessary, there's an entire generation of kids who have no idea what RoboCop is.
Yeah, it's
Kids
true.
and
Exactly
even,
true.
I mean,
That's true.
we're
And
in our
then-
late 30s and early 40s. I mean,
Hey, speak for yourself, buddy. I'm 27.
yeah, that's right. Okay, the you know, it's these remakes are to us and they seem dumb, and what ends up happening is sometimes you get good things like you get like the Planet of the Apes. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That was fantastic, you know. But
It was all right.
think about the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes. It had its moments of like the makeup was wonderful and other things were wonderful,
yeah.
but it missed the point. There's this sort of like here the thing about RoboCop that sort of the trailers kind of put me a little bit at ease is that the thing about RoboCop is that without the social commentary and the sort of tongue in cheek
The
sort
satire.
of black humor,
Yeah.
the
Satire.
satire is absolutely lost on modern
The
audiences.
6000 XUX.
Right. They don't get it. Satire does not work anymore.
I mean,
for people.
I probably had not seen that
Hey,
film. For
The Onion
10
is huge.
It is huge. But
I hadn't
it's
seen
not
that film for 10 years.
huge among kids. You think about the Onion. You say the Onion is huge, but the Onion
Stop
is.
talking.
Well, wait. The Onion. Real quick. The Onion is a website that people still think when you post something from the Onion on Facebook is real. People don't understand satire. They don't get it. You know. They
But the beauty of that movie originally, I buy that for $1.
right.
That's what got me. That like the world's falling apart, but everyone's still smiling and happy, and the cinematography is still pretty bright on that movie. So making it Dread Light and taking out the satire, it's like
Right.
what we already have. That it's called Being Human.
Yeah.
Well, not
I mean,
even. It just
I
turned
had-
into a generic action movie. It
I
just-
hadn't seen that film for probably over 10 years. And then whenever all the blockbusters were getting rid of all their VHSs because they were switching over to pure DVD,
How'd that work for him?
apparently not well.
Oh.
They were like selling off all their VHS stock, and I got a copy of the flick for like $1, and I thought, I loved this flick when I was a kid. I'm going to revisit it. And I spent the next 2 hours just laughing my ass off because now I'm old enough to get the jokes and the humor and the satire and everything. And that doesn't seem to be the route they're going with this film. It doesn't look...
But Mike, you're completely true. I agree with you completely about satire, just insofar as, and I'm sorry to yell at you, but sometimes Kyle has to jump in. But it's like Wall Street, the original Wall
Yeah,
Street.
yeah, it
the
doesn't
greed
work.
is good thing.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a cautionary tale. Oliver Stone made that as a cautionary tale for us not being greedy fuckwads.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, everyone went, "Fuck yeah, greed is good." And he went, "I gotta get out of this business for 5 years."
I'm going to go make JFK
Yeah,
and sit
yeah.
down for a while.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's absolutely lost. It's
So
not,
I watch it like once it comes on HBO or something. I don't think I'm gonna go see it in the theater. But my question is, if you're gonna remake something, there are 2 reasons to do it: a cash grab, which is not an illegitimate reason to do something in Hollywood, or to make something better, like Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Or to play tribute, also, I think.
Yeah, but I think that leads more into the cash grab thing.
Yeah.
Like the
I
fans will
suppose you're
want
right.
it, so will hell. The last 4 Star Trek movies that before the reboot were the cash grab, giving the fans what they thought that the fans wanted.
Jar Jar?
That's Star Wars, dear.
Oh, I was only half paying attention.
Okay.
No, we're not talking about guns on Naboo. We're talking about Amish people in space.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we all remember Insurrection.
It's awesome.
Insurrection.
I have a poster up on my wall.
Insurrection was the best
You are getting
episode of
such
Star
a
Trek: The
dick
Next
punch.
Generation ever.
What's that?
Such a dick punch.
Insurrection was the best episode of Star Trek: The Next
Yeah.
Generation ever. It wasn't movie quality. It was a good TV episode.
It wasn't
good
even,
premise.
It wasn't even Enterprise the series quality.
Oh, come on.
The
now.
idea behind Star Trek Insurrection is plastic surgery is bad. That's
Really? That's what you got from
That's
it?
what I got from it.
He's concerned about people not getting satire. That's what he got from it.
Plastic surgery's bad.
For me, it was we've run out of ideas. Let's do the Borg again.
So yeah. There's another great example is like another great example is what do you call it? Total Recall, which I'm not really a fan of the original Total Recall.
It was an okay flick.
It was
part
It was
of
a
my childhood.
masterpiece.
It was part of my childhood, you know. It was a good flick back then. I just recently revisited that one as well. It's pretty good.
I tried to
Just
watch the
the
remake,
cheesiness of it.
and I couldn't.
You're not the only one.
couldn't.
Lots of people could
Man.
not get through that.
I got about 22 minutes in, and I was, the fuck?
yeah.
yeah,
So they made the remake there, and they pretty much got rid of any of the sort of subtle.
Well, I think with the remake, first of all, they wanted the name notoriety on the marquee because people know Total Recall. But I think with the remake, and this is just from what I've read, they wanted to go with more of back to the original source material, and not so much of a tribute to the original film, which kind of sucks.
Which didn't do well. And speaking of movies that missed the mark, Kyle, I think you wanted to talk about the greatest
here we
flops
go.
of 2013 because
Here we go, boys and girls.
we're positive that we hated these movies.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, the first one we're going to talk about just briefly, we brought it up before. Lone Ranger, $290 million budget, 260 worldwide, according to Box Office Mojo, and that's the last time I checked, which was today. Surprised anyone that this bombed? I wasn't.
Not at all. Although I really like Johnny Depp as an actor.
As do I.
And I really like his advocacy because, he went and bought Wounded Knee. Did you see that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Where the Battle of Wounded Knee happened.
Really?
The natives wanted to kind of to buy it and memorialize it, but it was how much was it? It was something not ridiculous for Johnny Depp, but for normal people. 21 million for some reason is sticking in my head is what they wanted for this battlefield.
Yeah, Johnny Depp gets that for 15 minutes in a pirate movie, so...
Right, so he went and he bought it and he gave it to them
That's
so
very
that
cool.
they could... Right, it's really cool. Then on the other side of the coin...
Do you really need to spend $290 million to make a Lone Ranger movie? Come
Yeah, the
on.
entire
Train.
point. The entire point of the Western genre, the reason America made so many Westerns, is because it was easy to make something look good for very little.
Yeah. And plus they were also filming on nuclear testing grounds, so...
Well, there was that.
But yeah, no surprise. The thing that surprised me was how much they actually spent on making that thing. $290 million.
Well, how
would've been
much
so-
of it was the actual movie? How much of it was Depp's
Salaries?
take on it? Yeah, I mean,
Depp
it's just
had to be getting a pretty
it was
big
really
payday for
overblown.
that.
But like I said, I mean, I think we mentioned it before when the last time I was here. There's a 40-minute really awesome Lone Ranger movie in that mess. There is.
So somebody went in and re-edited it?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the fan edit of Phantom Menace?
Yeah, I wanted to do that.
It's
I wanted
been
to do
years,
that.
but I remember it fondly.
So, okay, let's get together and make a 40-minute... And just the fact of Johnny Depp, that's really cool because you could say that he took the money from that and did this other thing.
Yeah. And
But
know what?
you being 1/438th native, why are you playing Tonto, man? Why was he playing Tonto?
Yeah, well, 'cause
I think that was...
The idea
in
was
all-
that he
in
was
all-
going to put asses in seats. That's why he was
In
playing
all
Tonto.
honesty, who would they get to play that?
There's thousands
Jason
of Native...
Momoa.
Get a
Not
Native
familiar.
American to do it. Jason Momoa's
They
like...
want the star power, though.
Oh, yeah, that's
They
why
want
they...
the star
that's
No,
why they
we're
did it.
not denying your point that that's probably what went into their decision. But there were a lot of other...
Don't get Jason Momoa.
I mean, why not make Johnny Depp the Lone Ranger if you're going to stick him in the film?
Because that wouldn't work either.
That could have
Would have
worked.
worked better than Tonto.
Because it's not...
Would have worked better than Dark Shadows.
Because it's not goofy.
Oh, come on now.
Okay, next movie on the list, Jack the Giant Slayer. $240 million budget, $197 million worldwide. Did not see this, had no real interest. Anyone else?
I
didn't even know it happened this year.
Yep, it was this year.
Yeah,
and
it
did
was
not
a
do
Brian
well.
Beginning of the
Singer
year
movie,
too.
too.
They put it like at the end of January too, which is a really weird place to put like this big kind of because it was like half animation, right?
Yeah.
Or a lot of CG, I should
Yeah,
say. It was
a lot of CGI.
a lot of CG.
trying to ride the Harry Potter.
Sometimes, listen, man. I can understand why they would think it would be a good idea. It's like the Hunger Games came out. People didn't expect it to do shit. And it did really, really well. And then they came out with City of Bones, that other young adult novel series about the girl who's half angel or something.
Yeah.
And that completely tanked.
Another.
But I can see why they did that. You know what I'm saying?
Another movie on the list, The Mortal Instruments, $90 million budget, $82 million return. That's another series of books, isn't it? Yeah.
These are all worldwide, too?
Yeah, these are worldwide.
That's sort of like a Twilight.
Yeah.
Was that-
that's the thing.
Was that the one where they ruined it because it looked like a decent preview and at the end it said based on the series by Stephanie Meyer and then nobody went to see it?
No. Was it by Stephanie Meyer?
I don't know. I just remember there was one that came out. Where
What's it called again?
The Host you're thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where it tanked. It completely tanked. And it's like the previews all looked really decent, but then they put her name on the preview nobody saw
Not
it.
enough awkwardly shaped lonely housewives wanted to go see it, which is what Twilight makes all of its money off of.
Well, but the thing is,
Yeah,
the
you
book
heard me.
series, the book series is immensely popular. Not quite as popular as Twilight,
No.
but still made a
up
lot
there.
of money for a book to make a lot of money in this day and age.
I mean, it was like up
By
there.
Cassandra Clare.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the
Yeah, but
Host
you're
you're thinking of. Yeah, they really want to find that next Twilight kind of series that they can turn into,
Well, it's not even Twilight anymore. Now it's the Hunger Games.
It's
But they fast tracked it.
But yeah,
once
this
the
one-
Hunger Games did money, I think they were sitting on that for a while and went, "Oh, gee, we don't know."
It's actually like kind of nice to see, even if it's not that great of books. And I'm saying that in regard to Twilight, not in regard to the Hunger Games because I haven't read them. Like fiction that's aimed at young adults is actually that popular right now. It's nice to see kind of like a little bit of a resurgence of teen reading.
That is nice.
Even if it's not all, like stuff we personally would be into. I think I've told you this story before, like when I was in the grocery store and there were a couple of girls who were checking out Fangoria magazine because Twilight was on the cover, but they were reading about other movies that were coming out. Like stuff like Twilight is like a gateway drug to good movies.
Did you get a little chubby?
No.
Did your penis get a little wrecked when you saw girls
Dude, they were
reading
like
Fangoria?
12. They were 12, dude.
Oh, okay.
Do I look like
You didn't say they were 12.
Do I look like Roman Polanski? Come on.
No, you do not.
No, I do not.
Listen, my Christmas party for the Rex. We went. It was at a little fancy Italian restaurant in Lawrenceville, and Julia was wearing her TARDIS pendant, and this woman that
nice.
never met before just kind of came up and grabbed at her boobs. It's like, oh my God, is that a TARDIS pendant? And they sat there for a couple minutes talking about how cool Doctor Who is, and I just thought back to when I was a kid, and
No one knew what
would-
the fuck it was.
like even dudes were like, dude, that's weird. Like, so now to have like a fan base where half, if not more, of the people who are really into it are female, it's a wonderful nerdy time to be alive.
It is. I keep saying that every episode. Just like the access that we have to this stuff is amazing, and that so many people are eating it up.
What's your favorite Doctor Who moment, Mikey?
My favorite Doctor Who moment? I'm not really educated enough to know. I really like the. I thought that the 50th anniversary thing was great.
Oh, you got that?
I did watch that. That was really
Loved
good.
it. I actually just downloaded it. I've been watching it over again because I love this so much.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I mean, other than I wasn't really that much of a fan growing up. I couldn't get into it because the budgets were so low and it just looked like
Too cheesy?
Yeah, it just looked and a
coming
lot of
from
it
a
is
person-
really cheesy.
Yeah, but coming from a person who loves that cheese,
Yeah.
especially that 50s and 60s kind of.
And of course, I have to be the moral purist and say, if it weren't for that cheese, you never would have had Star Wars or Star Trek, because they really were groundbreaking.
I mean,
For
even
what
like-
they were doing
yeah.
in '63.
Well, I think if we didn't have the Flash Gordon series, we wouldn't have Star Wars. I don't really think Doctor Who had anything to do with Star Wars.
Technology-wise, with the technology to actually make it happen.
Yeah,
If it weren't for the visual effects of Doctor Who and the sound effects and the
if it weren't
inventions
for
of Dolby,
the visual effects of Doctor Who, there would be nothing
Why don't
to
you
do
put it in
better
doubly?
than. there would be no bar to set the low level at. That's because BBC didn't spend money on things. It's because it was
BBC.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going back and I'm watching things, and I have a better appreciation for it now that I'm older, and I can appreciate that they're doing what with doing what they could with what they had. You know, it's the same as those cliffhanger serials and things. They're wonderful and they're charming once you get past the fact that it's goofy. But to a kid in 1938, it was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen.
I still go back and I watch those serials.
Like he didn't know it was a model. You can't tell that it's a model when you've never seen a model fly across the. That's right.
There's a really hilarious. Yes, that is very beautiful. There's a very hilarious Captain America serial that if you ever see it on YouTube or something, check it out. I believe it's from the 50s. There's also an incredibly racist Batman serial you can also find online.
Racist toward the Japanese.
Yeah. Because it was made during not a very popular time to be a Japanese person.
During World War II.
Okay, moving along. 2 movies we've already bashed to hell and back. Ender's Game pulled in $87 million, had a $110 million budget. We've talked that one to death. And
wait, which one?
Ender's Game.
No, I have some opinions about Ender's Game.
Really?
I believe we've gone over them.
I love the look
Awesome.
everyone's giving me right now.
And also, R.I.P.D. Pulled in $78 million, and it had a $130 million budget, which I cannot believe.
I actually wanted to see that, but didn't, and that was the
It didn't
problem.
seem like they pushed it hard enough. I mean,
Oh, they pushed it a lot, dude.
I saw some advertisements on Dread Central's website, but like just watching television stuff, I did not see any previews or anything.
There were a lot.
There were okay, then I must have missed them, but that bombed
No,
too.
I'm just saying.
Curse you, Ryan Reynolds. How many more comic book franchises will you bring down?
Oh, you cannot blame that one on Ryan Reynolds.
I most certainly can.
Ryan Reynolds is awesome.
Bastard
Jeff
ruined
Bridges.
Blade.
The problem is the premise.
He was the best thing about that movie.
About
that
what?
Blade movie. You kidding me?
Blade 3?
He was awesome in that.
I'm with Mikey on this one, dude. Sorry.
I mean, half the times in that movie where like Blade is giving the character
Blade
a
ruined
look,
Blade.
I don't think that was actually in the script. I think Wesley Snipes was looking at Ryan Reynolds like, "Am I seriously supposed to act off this douchebag?"
Blade ruined Blade, if you ask me. He's,
Blade was awesome.
You know.
Dracula. It's a bit of a shark jump
Freaking
for
racist.
Blade 3.
Dude, we were expecting Dracula, but we would have liked a good Dracula, not freaking Prison Escape Dracula, whatever the hell the name of that show was.
Prison Break.
Prison Break.
Prison
I was
Break.
close. Okay, I said the Mortal Instruments cost $90 to make, pulled in $82. Bullet to the Head, the Sylvester Stallone film, cost $77 million, pulled in $13.
I have no idea what that movie is. Wow.
It's an action flick, and it did not do well. And
Didn't get
the
it.
last
Apparently
one,
involves
and
a
I'm
bullet and a head.
really happy about this one. Spike Lee's Old Boy remake. $30 million budget, which is pretty low for a wide release film, has pulled in a meager $4 million worldwide.
Why are you guys evilly happy?
I'm not
have
a big
no-
Spike Lee fan.
I'm just
Spike
laughing.
Lee's a
at all.
fantastic
I don't even
director.
care. I don't even care
But
what
Spike
movie
Lee
it
was
is.
a fantastic director.
He might still be a fantastic
And
director.
kind of
Well,
a
not by
douchebag.
this.
Yeah, I don't
No.
even care what movie it is. When there's that big of
Well,
a discrepancy between
there-
the budget,
There are
and the
certain
take?
people that like there are certain times where one needs to separate the work from the person. And I understand it's very difficult to do because I have that issue all the time. You like Morrissey's a great example. Like I really dig Morrissey's music. He's an asshole. Like he's an enormous posh pompous little
Twat.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
he's
He
definitely
really
a
is.
twat.
But I love his music. So and Spike Lee, you know, he directs some really fantastic movies. He is a jerk, but
I'm just
He's
saying
had-
he hasn't in a while.
He's had
I
feuds
don't know.
with
Let's
Quentin
look it
Tarantino. I'm a huge Tarantino fan. He's had a feud with Tarantino. He's had a feud with Samuel Jackson. He's had a feud
Much
with
It's
more
a lot
like
of
it's
directors
like
than Quentin Tarantino.
what's his name? He just did After Earth. The guy. What's the
Will
twist?
Smith. Will Smith.
What's the
M. Night
twist?
Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan,
Yeah.
who was like, he made some really cool stuff, and then he went, Mermaid in the Water.
Right.
I can do no wrong. You have to give it to me. And the studio that he was working with said no. Then another studio said, oh, you put that. It's the same thing we were talking about with Johnny Depp. Oh, his name on it is going to get people in the seats, and he did.
M. Night Shyamalan has gotten to the point where, and like I've heard this from a few different internet sources, whenever his trailers are shown in movie theaters and his name pops up, people laugh.
But it didn't
People
used to be that way.
laugh.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Spike Lee back in the day.
He was, the next Spielberg. He was the golden child. He was going to be so awesome, but he just kept missing the mark.
From his...
Like Michael Bay.
From 1986. You ready?
Michael Bay's making money.
She's Gotta Have It. Great movie. School Days. Really good movie. Do the Right Thing. Great movie. Mo Better Blues. Good movie. Jungle Fever. Horrible.
I did not
Malcolm X.
Awesome.
That was
So good.
film.
Almost as good as the book.
That was a good film.
Almost as good as the book. Crooklyn.
I didn't know he did that one.
I remember not liking
Ghostwriter into the comics.
What?
You got to see what he directed and what he. You're looking at anything he's been involved in that doesn't.
Director. Right on. That's. I can do math.
Summer of Sam was very good.
Clockers.
Great. Clockers was awesome.
Lemire and Company.
That's a documentary.
Get on the Bus. Girls 6.
Documentary.
I used to own Girls
I
6 on VHS. It's one of those it's so bad it's good movies.
Oh.
He Got Game. Interesting premise. Not very well executed in my opinion. Freak. Summer of Sam. Which
was awesome.
was
Yeah,
good.
that was really
I loved it.
fucking
I
good.
really loved it.
The original Kings of Comedy, which is the...
I just so that I can interject here, the ones that you guys don't like are African American satires. So I don't think you get it. Because
Maybe I
neither of
don't.
you are African American. I honestly think that's probably
Maybe I don't.
part of-
I really did not
Yeah.
like Do the Right Thing. I really did not enjoy that film.
Really?
At all. I hated it. It's just like he's
Not enough
comes
Blade.
Up, no.
Not enough Ryan
More
Reynolds.
Blade would have been awesome. More Blade would have been awesome. But
So you're
no.
saying if it had Ryan Reynolds in it, you would have liked
It
it?
drips of smug. Some of his work just drips of his own smug. You gotta agree with me on that point. And that film really drips with smug.
It's like you mentioned Tarantino. Tarantino is the most guilty person in the world.
I mean,
Tarantino has taken other people's movies essentially and remade them.
But he does it well.
I don't know. It's not my.
So he's a thief, but he's a...
So what were his most recent things other than
Okay.
Old Boy?
Well, another reason why I really do dislike the man, his whole Kickstarter thing, where he went to Kickstarter to try to finance his next film, and actually,
That's because no
Lots of people
studio
do.
would.
And lots of people are doing that right now.
I
We're
know.
getting a Veronica
I don't-
Mars movie because
Cradle
of
of
that.
Filth just did that to do a comic book, and I was like, "What the hell do you guys need a Kickstarter to do a comic book
How
for?
are those guys
you
even
have
still
money,
around for?
dude. I'm a fan.
Ugh.
Kickstarter, man, if I had more balls, I would do a Kickstarter so we could have T-shirts for this thing and get some better microphones.
Yeah.
You know why I
Okay,
don't
we can
do
do
it?
it.
You know what? You know why I don't? Honestly, because my biggest fear is I would put something up and nobody would donate money.
Dude,
Well,
That's
then nothing
the-
happens.
I've tried Kickstarter twice and I failed.
Nothing
so,
happens.
Yeah.
That's, okay, let's see. So
Last
we're
10
on-
years of Spike Lee.
Okay.
Good Fences. Didn't see it.
It's probably documentary.
Never
She
heard of
Hate Me.
Never heard
It
of
was
it.
okay.
I didn't see it.
I've seen that. Sucker Free City.
Never heard of it.
It's probably another documentary.
Miracles Boys. That's an episode. He directed a couple episodes. Inside Man.
Inside Man was awesome.
Never heard of it.
Never saw Inside Man.
Oh, it's great.
When the Levees Broke, a Requiem
That's
in
it.
Four Acts.
When the Levees Broke is a documentary about New Orleans, which is fantastic. It's about Katrina. The flood.
The Shark pilot for a thing. Miracle at St. Anna.
That's a good one too. That's a World War II flick. It's really good.
Okay. Passing Strange. Kobe Doing Work.
It's a documentary.
If God is willing and the creek don't rise. You're nobody till somebody kills you. Pariah. Red Hook Summer. Bad 25. The Best Man Holiday. He was in it. He didn't direct it. Then Old Boy. He also directed for HBO Mike Tyson, The Undisputed Truth.
He seems to have done quite a number of documentaries.
And he's got a movie coming in 2014 called The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
I think that's the one that he did the Kickstarter for. But they actually came out in Entertainment Weekly or Variety or something.
All I'm saying is
what he spends on a dinner party at his house could have financed half of the amount that he was looking for Kickstarter. He doesn't need a freaking Kickstarter. Actual people who need money who don't have studios behind them.
What's your
seems to be-
definition of
I
need,
can
though?
get behind that though.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sorry, dude. If I had $25 million in the bank and I needed $25 million to finance a film or a project I wanted to do, and I could get $10 million of the $25 million on Kickstarter, why not? I'm just saying I don't think it's it should morally stain him for using Kickstarter. I just, from what I've seen, which isn't a lot, granted, I haven't liked a lot of Spike Lee's stuff in the last 10 years. His older stuff, like I had Do the Right Thing on VHS and wore it out.
Yeah.
Like had to pull it out of my VCR back in the early 90s.
And those are.
I watched that movie so much.
Especially like in the beginning, those were all satire flicks or social commentary flicks, or
Yeah.
they were. You know,
Summer of Sam still had a lot of
Summer of
social
Sam was
commentary.
great. Yeah, Summer that was awesome.
And he obviously
Was that a miniseries or something?
Summer of
No, it was a
Sam
movie.
That was but it was a long movie. I remember
It was long.
like 3 hours and 45 minutes.
probably
Yeah,
about
it was a
that.
long
Yeah.
So was Malcolm X was long. Malcolm X was
Okay, do we have anything else on the
that's his
flop list?
masterpiece, I think.
On the flop list, no, but I do want to talk a little bit about the top films of 2013.
Okay, and we can talk about our favorite films of the year.
Superheroes in remakes.
I don't have the budget numbers for these ones. I just have their worldwide box office. At number 1, Iron Man 3, 1.2 billion.
Is that with a B?
Billion. That's with a B, my friend.
It's not surprising.
B is in boy. Okay, let me ask you this. I'm going to grab some more coffee.
He's really.
But what do we think about what they did to Mandarin?
I'm not like I've said so many times, not a huge Marvel guy. Don't know the Iron Man villains, so like I know there were discrepancies in between the Mandarin of the comics and the Mandarin of the film. It didn't really affect me because I didn't know what those differences were going in. But I thought he was a great villain, especially with the switcheroo they did with Kingsley. What's it? Ben Kingsley's his name?
Yeah, it was really funny.
He was hilarious in that. He was just such a complete douche.
Well, the Mandarin in the comics, really, I mean, the short and sweet version is that
He's magic based.
Asian guy with alien rings, alien magic rings.
Yeah.
That he got from a crashed UFO or something. I can't remember if they've probably retconned stuff. And
Yeah.
is he still just Asian guy with magical alien rings? I think
The
that's
Mandarin.
it. Like all of his rings have different powers and things like that. So
Yeah, that was the original
Yeah.
concept of the character.
what they did was first of all,
Does he have a lantern?
It's sort of. No, he doesn't have a
I'm going to
lantern.
make you come to my Ryan Reynolds
They,
Film Festival just for that.
I like the Green Lantern.
I liked that movie. So
That was great.
okay.
Wait, we all like something?
Yeah.
I liked Green Lantern the movie.
Wait a
I
minute,
do
we
not
all
understand-
I thought
like
it got an incredibly bad rap. I thought
I
it
am
was great.
completely.
I don't
Like-
get why it
Green
got
Lantern,
such a bad
the movie.
rap. It was not remotely as bad as people made it out to be.
No, it
It
wasn't
captured-
bad. The mask was bad, and that was it.
It
And everybody
captured-
latched onto
And
that.
I
It
think
captured the spirit of the Bronze Age Green Lantern comics.
Yeah, it was good.
and like I've said this in other episodes, there's an hour missing from that movie because there's
Yeah.
clearly stuff that's been cut from that.
Well,
I'd
there's
like
an
to see-
extended edition.
Then I want to see it because it
I
looks like
can-
there's a lot of story cut from that film.
I can get that to you.
But okay, so Iron Man
Purchased
3,
fully legally.
yes, of
Yeah,
course.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Iron Man
Absolutely.
3, he's really coming to his own. He's becoming a household name. People know who the character is, and that was not. I mean, for Marvel's big guys like Captain America, Spider-Man, everyone knows them. But like the Avengers team, those characters,
Oh,
not
kids are
everyone
crazy
knows
about 'em.
Iron Man. Not everyone knew Thor. Not everyone knew.
I will tell you, I
Those
did not
characters
give a
and
damn about Iron Man until I saw the first Iron Man movie, and then I was like,
Yeah,
and I
same
still don't
here.
give a damn about him in the comics, but
Oh,
the
I
Iron
can't
Man,
stand him in the comics.
Yeah,
when I tried
it's-
reading
it's-
Civil War.
he's.
But
it's,
the movie version, I'm totally
yeah.
on board with, and they say he's going to return.
Iron Man 3 was Iron Man. Here's my
No,
new
they
thing.
said Tony Stark will return.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hope.
yeah.
Iron
They
Man
don't
3.
say Iron Man. I think War Machine's going to become Iron Man, which actually happened in the
He's-
comics for about.
A little while.
when,
3 or
when,
4 years?
when Tony was in a drunken
Yeah.
stupor. most of the
Yeah,
time.
and during that same time period, I think someone else became
Iron Man
Thor,
3 is
too.
Dark. Iron Man 3 is Dark
Beta Ray
Knight
Bill.
Rises. Iron Man 3 is the same movie as Dark Knight Rises. It is. You've got the hero who is suffering trauma,
I could
thinking
see.
about giving it all up. He
Loses everything.
Loses everything. He's forced to function without the use of his suit and everything like that. He is saved by his girlfriend. He gives it all up at the end.
But unlike Dark Knight Rises, it didn't make me want to hang myself. at
Oh,
the
Dark
end of
Knight
it.
Rises was awesome.
Hey, I was in Dark Knight Rises.
You did great too.
You saw my little blur?
I did.
Above Bane's head?
I was terrified.
Oh, wait a minute, I thought you were Bane.
No,
Merc-
Oh,
Mercenary, what, 37?
Were you
Mercenary
37?
How do you forget?
Henchman
how do you forget
37.
that he's
I don't know,
Mercenary
just-
37.
No, it's not.
37,
Listen,
dude.
it's not. It's
You're not
not.
to suck any dick on your way across the parking lot.
That's right.
Try not to suck a dick on your way to the big battle scene in Oakland. No, when I got my costume fitting, when they gave you my paperwork and everything, it said on top that I was mercenary number 37. So
I was in it too. I was the tumbler. I was the
wait,
Batmobile.
I actually-
the camo tumbler or
camo
the regular
tumbler.
tumbler?
I actually approached Christopher Nolan about playing Egghead, but he wasn't interested.
I want to be King Tut.
I mean, come on! Look at this dome.
Can I be King Tut? Speaking of that, segue. If anybody, everybody should be reading Batman 66. Are you reading Batman 66?
No, what is
the
it?
comic book series that is based on the television show from 1966.
I gotta
The Adam
check
West.
this out.
The Adam.
This sounds
It's
cool.
all Technicolor and bizarre and wacky and campy and wonderful. It's absolutely. It's printed. It's available online as a digital comic first, and then they send it to print afterwards after they have a couple.
I just
stories.
recently read the Kevin Smith issues of Batman that came out.
Oh, yeah,
The
no, I
Cacophony.
missed those.
I loved the first one. I
Really?
still have to read the second one, but it actually made Zeus a believable.
Maxie Zeus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it made him into a pretty cool villain for
Maxie
that
Zeus.
miniseries.
I'm
Which is hard to
collecting
do.
Batman 66, but I haven't read it yet.
But you know what? I've only read the first one, but I flipped through all the other ones a million times because they're beautiful. They're so every color is like.
Please tell me they're
Technicolor,
doing the Eartha Kitt Catwoman. That would be awesome.
No, I don't have.
They'll
has
probably
she
go
been in
through
it?
all
I don't think
three.
she's been in it yet. I don't think Catwoman's been in it yet.
Okay, moving swiftly along. Number 2.
Wait, we're not done talking about how great Ryan Reynolds is.
That was 2 conversations ago.
Takes
my
his
friend.
shirt off.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Coming in with a meager $662 million. Not that great.
Yeah, let's talk about how fucked up our entire outlook on media is. That when we say 662 million,
Yeah, that's.
But what was the
Meager.
budget? What was the budget on it?
Budget was about 270.
So it was
no.
so more than
maybe
doubled.
220.
It's more than doubled.
But
It's-
No,
Still,
here's the
for
thing though.
one of the biggest
With all the money
superheroes.
they got from product placement, I did the
Oh,
math.
yeah, they probably-
They got so much money from product placement that after product placement, the whole movie only had to make like $70 million worldwide to break even.
What's funny is that Superman's not an easy sell. Superman, they had Superman Returns, which I adore, that people hated because he didn't fight enough. He didn't
I'm
do this.
sorry.
It was all
Have you
hard.
seen Ted?
It was all. What's that?
Ted. The
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
Ted.
yeah.
At the end, they actually talk about that.
Yeah, they didn't, but Superman for me is he's a character with a lot of heart, and that was missing from Man of Steel. Man of Steel, they took.
He was a man
it's
with
like,
a lot of
It's like they
promo.
listened to what everybody was bitching about Superman Returns, made the movie that everybody said they wanted to make, and then everybody bitched about it. Instead, it was to this and to that.
So if they would have made it another half hour long and merged the spirit of Returns with the effects and him actually finally punching something.
That's
Other than a building.
Isn't it a shame that people like their main bitch about things is that he didn't hit anything? Come on.
A
wanna see
Superman
him
movie
do
where he doesn't
something.
hit anything.
Superman picks up an island and throws it into
Still,
space.
Not as impressive as
He
fighting
saves
Zod.
Metropolis.
Punch something in the face.
Yeah.
Well,
And for me, my
was
biggest
it
gripe
was a
about Man
kickoff.
of Steel was Kevin Costner almost tore that movie down with how terribly his.
Well, it wasn't his acting though. That's the way it was written. The whole don't hide
It was
under a
like-
bushel; they'll kill you.
I don't
Don't
think
say
there's anything
people's
wrong with
names.
that. Here's another thing. Here's my answer to that complaint. Have a kid. Once you are a father, you will understand why he said what he said. Because the last thing you want is for anybody to come.
But
come
one
in
minute
and
That's
he's
your
telling.
kid. I
One minute
understand.
he's saying
Sort of.
you were sent here for a reason.
Right.
The next minute he's saying don't expose.
He's
it. You
terrified.
can't go back and forth
He's-
like that.
Well,
with
he's
the
terrified. You
character.
got this kid that he loves. It's his son. It doesn't matter for him. It doesn't matter where. And then that part actually made me cry when the little kid says to when little Clark says, "Can't I just be your son?" And he says, "You
That
are
was
my
a good.
son."
That was a good
It was
moment.
a wonderful
for me,
moment.
What should I just have let them die? Well,
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's not something that Jonathan Kent from the comics.
There
I'm
is
sorry.
one that
You never know.
It's not something
I
that
have-
character would say.
I have a couple
But
of
it's
points.
something a
Yes.
father would say.
It is
Right,
something
but
a father would say.
The thing is, you're working with pre-established characters. If you want the audience to accept this, especially when the target audience are the people who are completely immersed in it, and hopefully they bring friends.
Two things.
You want to at least make the things that, you bring the humanity into the character in ways that the source material didn't.
Yeah.
You want to find a way to have them parallel each other. You don't want the humanity to completely negate everybody's preconceived notions of the character, because all of a sudden you get pissed off that
I got 2 points.
you have
I
this
got 2
influence on
points.
Superman that would have never happened.
I got 2 points.
And I was finishing my sentence. Make your 2 points.
Ralph Garman did a great commentary kind of thing with Kevin Smith when this movie came out, and made a really good point, which was in my brain, but he articulated it a lot better than I would have, is that in the comics and in the other media, Pa Kent that's the rock of where Clark learns how to be a human. Is from Ma and Pa Kent. And the fact that they are self-sacrificing, the fact that they are kind of good, wholesome Midwestern folk, makes him become the character that he is. Had he landed anywhere else in the world, it might have been different. Had he been raised by anybody else, it might have been different. And I think they missed the boat just a little bit with Kevin Costner's portrayal of that. And to illustrate a point, it's from a different medium, but the Flashpoint Paradox storyline, where the Flash saves his mother by spinning the world backwards or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they find Superman, and Superman wasn't picked up by the Kents. He was picked up by the government, or some secret society, they don't really say, but pretty much the government. And they basically keep him locked away his whole life. So he's a skinny little thing. Doesn't know anything about his powers, doesn't know anything about friendship even. So, the fact that, wait, you're my friend. Completely different character. And I think that's what upset people about Costner's portrayal of it.
But well, you said self-sacrificing. The thing is Costner's Pa Kent is self-sacrificing to the point where he sacrifices himself.
And it's really stupid.
It's not really stupid. He's protecting his kid. He would rather risk his own life to go rescue the family dog, because that's something that they love, their family dog. He would rather risk his own life, and in a sense, at one point realizes that he's not going to get away from it. It's just the way it is. Than to allow his kid to expose himself.
Well,
expose himself.
I hated that.
Not being a parent, I can't understand it.
Yeah.
I can't empathize with what you're saying, but I can understand the point you're making. But apparently enough people were ticked off by it, even people who were parents, that it kind of adversely affected the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
At least the perception of the movie.
It's just another thing. The other thing too is that you're working with a character that's got 75 years of history. A lot of shit has
You're
happened.
not
going to
please everybody. But
No,
you should
like
at least have a
Superman the
plot
movie, which is still the
makes
greatest
sense.
comic book movie ever made. Superman the movie is absolutely
it's
the
very
greatest comic book movie that's ever been made.
Pa Kent made sense in it.
And he died, but Pa Kent in the comics lived for a very long time.
No, but he died like that in the comics too.
But then he was back again. Like when John Byrne did the whole Man of Steel reboot thing, Pa Kent was alive for a good long time, in the comics, and it's just 75 years is a long time. 75 years of an issue of Superman, at least sometimes 2 or 3 a month for 75 years. There's a lot to cull from. There's a lot to. So you're going to get people who prefer this version. You're going to get people who prefer that version. You're going to get people who prefer. Nothing's ever going to make anybody happy ever. It's just never going to do it.
Okay, moving on to a film that won't piss off any geeks anywhere. Star Trek Into Darkness.
It's awesome.
$467 million.
Awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I liked it.
I loved it.
It was a romp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't try to be... It's different in flavor from the original series and whatnot, and the original movies.
Star Trek with balls.
Yeah, it was a romp. It was a good summer romp.
And there are people who are like, they don't want adventure with their Star Trek. Well, those weren't working out very well. Star Trek was dead. Star Trek was dead and rotting on the vine. It's dead.
They're still going to bring back Enterprise.
Oh.
Yeah. Dead. They're not going to.
Why you make my heart sad?
Timmy, it's over.
No.
Bambi's
over.
mom is dead.
What?
And her
Spoilers!
It's over, and it was a mercy killing.
Oh.
So
What are you trying to say?
I understand that season, 4? The last season is apparently the one to watch if you have to watch Enterprise.
Well, yeah, because they knew it was ending,
Yeah,
so they
so
had
they
to put
did.
all the good shit.
And all of a sudden,
That's
good
like-
shit happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do
Like-
this from the beginning?
Like, what I think is going to happen is S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to get canceled.
And
No,
they'll do
they're going to get
something
renewed for a
incredible.
second season.
Yeah,
but then they're going to say, it's not going to get, they're like, okay, we're going to cancel you. And then they're going to put all the good shit in. And then we're going to have another Firefly
The same-
situation. I really hope,
yeah.
because I so wanted to like that show.
The same thing happened with Family Guy when they knew they were getting canceled. Like the first time, like that last season, they just said, you know what? We're not going to give a shit who we've been. We're throwing everything in. And that last season before they got canceled was freaking hilarious. And the reason why it got picked back up. Okay,
Yeah.
so we all enjoyed Star Trek too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes.
No complaints.
Oh, one thing about that, though. J.J. Abrams actually came out. I saw this on the Huffington Post a couple weeks ago. He actually came out and apologized for that whole them pretending that it wasn't going to be Khan thing. He admitted they made a mistake, and that was really fucking stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's not though. You got to keep some. When we were
The
kids,
fact
nobody
is,
knew what was going on with movies when we were kids unless you saw the movie.
it
Because
was
there was
already
no
on
interest.
IMDb, and they had to ask them for a special dispensation to take it off that Cumberbatch was playing Khan.
Yeah.
The photo that was supposed to go on Entertainment Weekly 3 weeks
Well, they-
before the movie came out
Well-
said
Khan versus
as
Kirk.
Khan. So, but they were like, some studio head said, no, it's got to be a mystery. It's got to be like the Crying Game, but for Star Wars or Star Trek,
Well,
rather.
they tried to pull the same crap with Dark Knight Rises with Talia al Ghul, and they accidentally dropped that spoiler a year before the movie came out.
photos
And
of her
then they were
dressed like
still-
Talia al Ghul.
Then they were
were
still
all
trying to
over
keep everything all super secret, and we were like, okay, what's all the big super secret shit in
And then
Dark
the
Knight
little-
Rises?
the little
and then
girl.
the big, twist is the thing we knew a year ago.
But I think what you guys are. Here's the thing, okay? Try to separate. Next time you go to see a movie, try to separate what you already know from the experience that you're having as you're watching the movie.
Okay.
Forget the fact that you already fucking know the twist. Forget it. Forget it. Just let it come to you and see how it is in the context of the movie and go, hey, that's really awesome.
I understand your point of view. However, I'm going to counter with this.
That's why spoilers don't bother me. I don't give a shit.
If they would have said, you know what, you're right, you got us. And in fact, instead of trying to keep up this bullshit, we're going to play up the parallels between Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek II Into Darkness, and we're just going to push it.
Yeah, but
we're
those
gonna push
piss
it.
people
It
off,
would have.
too.
It would have been. People were already pissed off. You might have gotten
Yeah.
some people who weren't hardcore Trekkies, Trekkers, whatever you want to call them.
Don't offend them. For God's
I
sake.
know. I live with one.
They'll switch from whatever computer programming thing they have for that weekend, and they'll hop on the message board, and then you're fucked.
I mean, for me, the whole Spock Kirk scene at the end of Into Darkness, just as moving as the original.
Oh, it was awesome.
Part two. I think everyone did
Okay.
a superb job.
This must be a Christmas miracle because that's two things that we've agreed
Yeah.
upon completely,
what's-
and
what's-
only one thing that we've actually gotten into such an argument that I had to leave the room
What's
about.
great is that, and people forget this too. Star Trek II isn't a remake of, or I say, Into Darkness isn't a remake of Star Trek II. Into Darkness is showing what happens when
It's more of an homage.
when the events that are essentially the space seed get counteracted by
that.
the government, basically knowing where Khan is, getting Khan out. So everything so it's not. The Wrath of Khan movie happened years and years and years and years and years after the Space Seed episode happened, like 20 something. I can't remember what the actual.
Right, but it was an homage between the two parallel universes.
Right. It's basically showing that if Khan was given free reign, the same events would have happened essentially.
Yeah.
The same type of things.
Like everything's screwed up because of Vulcan getting destroyed and Spock coming back, and events are going to play out differently.
everything.
And that
is
being
jacked up.
said, let's get on just a little bit of a tangent before we move any further along. And where do you think they're going to go with the next one?
They could go anywhere with it. I mean, honestly, they could just go.
I mean, what from the classic show could they take?
I think it's gonna involve Klingons because I think they indirectly started a Klingon war.
That.
I think Peter Weller's character essentially got what he wanted.
Yeah, the war is about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't he didn't get what he wanted in the way that he wanted to get it, in the manner that which he wanted to get it. But still, I think there's going to be some kind of Klingon fallout and stuff there. And if you notice, I don't know, this is really nerdy, but if you notice the what's the name of Klingon's moon? I can't remember. Praxis.
Yes.
Praxis had collided with.
Was already blown up.
So the events of which one was it?
That would have been Undiscovered Country number 6.
Right.
I actually thought they were going to introduce that general character in this movie and show him actually losing the eye.
Krang or whatever his name is.
Tang, maybe.
I'm
not sure. One of my favorite favorite Star Trek villains.
So already events are already set into motion that
right, already
happen.
It's not just one thing, there are domino effects.
Yeah.
So you're right, there's a lot that they can play with.
I mean, they could go with the Gorn maybe.
I think they should
get
get
away
away
from stretch
from
that out into an entire film though.
I think they need to now I think they need to get away from sort of rehashing of old plot points.
Oh, did you notice they mentioned the mud incident?
Yeah,
I caught
which
that
is cool.
too, and that was great.
Which means that whole Harry Mudd thing happened.
God, here's the thing though. Star Trek 4 has to happen still. The whale people that send the probe to see why there aren't any whales?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still got to happen. They still have to deal with that.
In their timeline.
Do we really need to remake that?
Well,
they have to deal with that within the.
They don't have to deal with it.
Oh, they do. Oh, yeah,
no,
they do.
You know what they have to deal with? The fact that at the end of Generations, they're still in the Nexus. That's what they have to do. Anything that happens after Star Trek Generations, which is the worst one, I don't care how much.
Oh, come on
I
now.
don't know how many people. Oh, it's terrible. I don't care how many people hate Star Trek
Nemesis,
5.
Insurrection.
Nemesis
Way
was actually
worse.
even better than anyway.
Oh.
At the end of Genesis, anything that happens after Genesis, there is happening in the Nexus.
Okay.
Because Picard's in the Nexus. The Nexus essentially asks him, "What do you want?" And Picard says, "I want the Nexus to take me to
James Kirk.
So that they can stop Sauron or whatever his name is." It's something like that, isn't it?
It's Sauron.
It's Sauron. Yeah.
Is it Sauron?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They have to stop him from
Man,
allowing
Star Trek
the Nexus
really
to hit
has
the
lost,
planet. Right. So the
all their
Nexus
ideas.
creates this false image of them arriving at the planet before the Nexus hits it. So they're still inside, and everybody in the real world is still dead.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Okay,
because guidance says if you've ever been in the Nexus, part of you stays in the Nexus.
Right.
Okay, so
But that doesn't mean that
That
people are
just,
still dead.
just answered the question.
part of them's out, part of it's in.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Doesn't mean that everybody's dead.
Okay, moving swiftly along to our next film.
Just the tip. Just the tip goes in.
Yeah.
This is only 7 weeks into release. Thor 2 has already pulled in $627 million.
That's a lot of fun.
And it's only about halfway through its theatrical run. Still a
What
lot of
now?
weeks to go.
I still
Thor:
want
The
to go
Dark
see
World.
that.
It's fun.
And I'm predicting by the time its theater run is over, it will probably beat Man of Steel in worldwide box office.
They
Yeah, they're
Damn
just about
close
there.
already.
Christopher
Just about there.
Eccleston is wasted in Thor 2, though. Malekith
Well,
does nothing.
I would have never known that was the same.
That is not the way it sounded.
Oh, he's wasted.
The
He's
This
statement
was
you
drunk
made.
off
And
his
J.J.
ass.
Abrams came out
That's right.
and said something.
That's right. And Pacquiao doesn't want Clark to expose
Okay.
himself.
Sleep Dep's a hell of a
quick,
drug, kids. I'm sorry.
I have to do a Doctor Who thing with you guys real quick. Do you mind?
Go ahead.
Just real quick. So, everybody here has seen the 50th anniversary thing, right?
Yeah.
Where there's like one of those cubes in the TARDIS when they decide they're
What's
going
a
to
TARDIS?
they're going to freeze the Gallifrey like in one of the cubes.
Yeah.
There's like a little ball right there, and then they freeze it, right? I'm going to show you something right now. This is from Series 1, Episode 2.
Right.
The very beginning, where Rose, he's saying to Rose, where do you want to go? And I want you to look at what he's throwing up in his hands and what he puts down on the console. Everybody who would like to see, please come around and see. Can you see?
This is a podcast.
Can you see? Can you see?
I can see it.
All right.
I'll
Everybody,
describe-
go
I'll
to
describe
Netflix.
it to the people at home.
Go to Netflix and watch the first 3 minutes, and you'll see what we're discussing
I will
here.
describe it to the people at home appropriately. So the doctor, and she's smiling. She's very happy. The doctor's telling her, "Hey,
He's
I'm
got a
gonna do
red
something
globe in his
awesome."
hand.
He's got. Is that a?
He's got a
hot
red
pocket?
globe.
He put it down. He put it down.
He's
It
holding
doesn't
a
look
hot
like it.
pocket. What does that have to do with the 50th anniversary?
You're a dick.
Is that a
It means,
cheeseburger?
and I'm
hot
saying
pocket?
this on the podcast with video, that the Gallifrey, they're going to look for Gallifrey. It's
You think
been
that's it?
Oh.
it's been on
think
the
it's
TARDIS the whole. Listen, at the end of the 50th anniversary thing, he kind of goes, "Oh, okay, I won't remember this." Gets back in his TARDIS and immediately regenerates, and then immediately goes and finds Rose.
Right. Well,
Because there's something playing in his head that he has to find Bad Wolf Girl.
but
Now,
you don't
okay,
know if that immediately. They don't show that.
No, seriously.
Does the
Because in the first episode, the last thing he said was, "I hope," basically paraphrasing, "I hope the ears are better."
Right.
And then the first
ears
time
are
he
what?
sees a mirror in episode 1 of series 1, he looks and goes, "Oh, not bad. Oh, but these ears again."
There you go.
and still not Ginger.
So
there's Gallifrey.
So
right
John
there.
Hurt was the 12th Doctor, or the Ninth Doctor. John Hurt was the actual Ninth Doctor. No matter
Look,
what anybody
I
says,
freeze. What's that?
John Hurt was the actual Ninth Doctor.
He was the War Doctor.
No. This was on the BBC thing here. I've got something else here. But just look at this. Look at the snow globe thing.
There's a
Yeah,
thingy.
I saw
That's
it.
just a
I
thingy.
saw it.
Yeah.
It's a hot
Could be
pocket.
it.
It's a hot.
What?
It's a ham and cheese hot.
I am
pocket.
going.
Dude, that's
Is
so
it-
clearly Philly cheesesteak.
with the sleeve still on it. It's
I will-
hard to tell.
Okay, we're gonna stop this podcast.
According to Doctor Who TV.
Don't let him turn the podcast around.
Okay. According to the First Doctor William Hartnell, Second Doctor Patrick Troughton, Third Doctor John Pertwee, Third Doctor and Third Incarnation, Tom Baker, Fourth Doctor and Fourth Incarnation, Peter Davison, Fifth Doctor and Fifth Incarnation, Colin Baker, Sixth Doctor and Sixth Incarnation, Sylvester McCoy, Seventh and Seventh, Paul McGinn, Eighth Doctor, Eighth, John Hurt, the War Doctor and Ninth Incarnation, Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor and 10th Incarnation, David Tennant, the 10th and 11th Incarnation, and they're counting his regeneration at the end of season 4 when he gets shot and he regenerates just enough to heal himself and then puts the rest of it into his hand. That's on the TARDIS that becomes the... I don't think that counts. I don't think that counts because he
because that
didn't...
happened during his regeneration process.
But
so he
any
could
of
still
this-
regrow limbs. And
Any of
crap.
it counts if
That's
the
what they said in
writers
show.
want it to count. If
Yeah.
the writers turn around and make
they
up
wanna
something
screw
else, then it's
around.
gonna, they can do whatever they want. It's if they want to get rid of the whole 12 generation, 13 generation limitations, all they have to do is get rid of it.
But if they don't do it in
Rewrite
a clever way, they can alienate their economic
But they've
base.
never
okay.
done something that wasn't in a clever
Say
way.
because you brought Gallifrey back, you know what? We're going to give you another 12 because this is kind of like a new start for Gallifrey. It should be new stuff.
Well, in the 5 Doctors, they gave the Master 12 new ones
That's right.
for helping him.
That's right.
It's easy to get around, but they have to do it, and they have to do it in a clever way. They can't just disregard the canon. They have to reimagine the canon,
Yeah.
is my
Well, they don't
point.
have to reimagine the
Sure
canon.
they
just
do.
have to add to it. Just
That's
add to it.
that's reimagining the canon.
Well,
Yeah.
you gotta... No, 'cause
You can't disregard it completely and go, that was never there. You have to go, oh, okay, that was there, but this is our way around it.
I think
mean,
canon
for
and
crying out loud, the Time
continuity...
War was supposed to be time locked, and they were still able to get into it. So
There's just a lot of stuff to do. You know,
you can write
anything
your way
that's
around
creative
it
and
as long
awesome
as you
that
don't do it in a stupid way, like saying, okay, midi-chlorians are the reason he gets another generation.
That was dumb.
Yeah, as long as you don't do that.
Why you got to bring midichlorians into this, man?
That was
What
dumb.
have I said since episode 1 of our podcast? Every episode, it's going to have to come up.
But you know, they could also write away midichlorians in a second.
Okay,
They
back
could
to
have
Doctor
somebody
Who.
mention midichlorians and have a Jedi in the new ones and the older Jedi or something say that was just something that they believed. And it turned
that
out
was
to
an
be
old
nonsense.
wives' tale.
Yeah.
That just it was
They're trying to do
coincidental
something-
that
People used to die of smallpox. They don't anymore. Did
Nuh-uh.
they change the canon? No, they
Wait,
How
Cure
did you
them?
get onto smallpox?
so we're
I'm
going to
just
cure
saying.
midichlorians.
As an example, you find people used to think that tomatoes were poisonous. They're not.
Okay.
So you used to think that
Says
that
you.
you used to think that the midichlorians created the Force, and then you find out later on that they don't. It's that easy.
Moving swiftly along, World War Z, 540 million, and I am actually amazed at this one
That's-
because this one everyone thought it was going to tank.
But it turned out to be good.
It turned out
Well,
to be passable.
It took him 6 months and completely writing out
Reshoots.
Clive Owen. Like, Clive Owen was a big part of that movie, but they changed the third act so much that he literally has one line in the movie.
Yeah. But, I mean, people...
With all the problem they were having with reshoots and just a lot of rumors and stuff going on behind the scenes, I thought this was going to be an incoherent mess. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't as good as it could have been. I've seen parts of the unrated cut, and it does not freaking impress me. It's very apparent that they were going for PG-13 all the way.
I don't have a problem with that.
You can do a PG-13 horror movie and still make a good movie, but it's pretty damn hard to do a PG-13 zombie movie these days, especially with how much you can get away with on television.
They do, yeah.
But it worked. And one thing about this movie is that this and Pacific Rim, which I finally saw, by the way.
What'd you think of that?
Well, it's okay.
That's next.
Anytime a human being actually speaks, it's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
That's next.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it didn't have a lot of heart.
It really is the
action
dialogue
parts,
is terrible and
but the action parts,
awesome.
like the imagining of the world when it comes to that, like the underwater stuff.
Beautiful.
We'll get to it.
But anyway, I forgot what I was rambling about.
World War Z.
Where was it? Oh, the whole idea that even though we create most of the media that people consume, we are not the biggest consumers anymore, because I believe Pacific Rim and World War Z suffered from they opened here and not great, but then 2-3 weeks later they'd open around the world, and all of a sudden it went from 70 million to wait a minute, 470 million in a week. How did that happen?
World War Z did not suffer as much as Pacific Rim did domestically. It did do some pretty good domestic numbers, but just given all the controversy that was behind it, it's very surprising to me that it did that well. And speaking as a huge fan of the book, one of the best books I've ever read, it's not an adaptation of the book whatsoever.
It's almost like a companion piece to the book, if anything.
I wouldn't even go that far. I think they just took the name and smacked it on a film, because they don't really follow anything that happened in the book except for like a few minor characters who aren't even all that much like their characters in the book. So,
and you know who wrote World War Z?
Max Brooks.
Mel Brooks' son.
I know.
How crazy is that? When I found, I was like, what?
Dude, he wrote the Zombie Survival Handbook.
I know.
And when I first
didn't realize that was Mel Brooks' son that wrote that.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the book on tape version?
World War Z?
No, of the Zombie Survival Guide.
No. Is it any good?
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. It's the guy that they have narrating it. It's this real dry British voice. He takes it so seriously. It's perfect.
The audiobook for World War Z, I strongly urge all of you to check out. It's all interviews, and it's Max Brooks as the interviewer, interviewing all these different voice actors, including Henry Rollins. He was excellent in it. The one guy from... what was the name of that show? MASH. The lead guy played...
Alan Alda?
Alan Alda. He's in it. A couple other names you'll recognize. It's really good. You should check it out. And they actually, they put a lot of characterization into their performance to the point where you believe that you're listening to this character. It's one of the best audiobooks I've ever heard. You should really check it out. Oh, Mark Hamill.
He's on.
So Mark Hamill, Henry Rollins. I don't think I need to
Joker?
sell it any further.
Not my favorite Joker voice.
Oh.
Nope. My favorite Joker voice was in Red Hood.
And my favorite Joker voice was the one that didn't happen.
John DiMaggio, the guy who does Bender on the Futurama, does the Joker in Red Hood.
But you'll have to admit, it's really not the worst Joker voice.
That was Bender? I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised they didn't get Mark Hamill for that.
You know what, honestly, and I know this is very unpopular because he's huge, and I don't like his Joker.
Oh,
I think his Joker's too fey and silly.
Did you know that Tim Curry almost got that Joker?
That I would have liked a lot better.
They said he came off as too sarcastic.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked that.
But anyway, okay, moving back to what we were talking about. Okay, off of World War Z and on to Pacific Rim. $407 million worldwide. Nothing to sneeze at, but that was my favorite movie of the year.
Pacific Rim was?
Yes.
Wow. I couldn't handle it whenever human beings were on the screen. I've watched it twice now, I think. 3 times. 2.5 times.
They're very two-dimensional characters, but then again, in
a story that big,
yeah,
it's hard to take without adding an extra hour to actually develop.
But
like just compare it to the plot lines of the old Godzilla films.
Diverted a squirrel.
You know,
Yeah, but you know
the characters are going to be two-dimensional.
Oh my God, does that look good or what? Too that Godzilla, the Godzilla.
The new one?
Yeah, now that we finally saw the damn trailer, screw you, Legendary.
What was wrong? Why?
What?
Because they didn't release the trailer for 2 fucking years.
Well, they weren't ready.
They released the teaser at Comic-Con 2 years ago, never hit the internet. Only a bootleg copy ever hit the internet.
Is that the one that has?
They make the big announcement, oh, this one specific date, there's going to be something big for Godzilla fans. They don't say Godzilla fans at Comic-Con. They just say Godzilla fans. Then you had to be at Comic-Con to see the trailer, and they don't release the trailer.
So that's the one with
for
Matthew
another 6
Broderick,
months.
right? Where he, like, there's eggs?
You know what's funny about that is that
Dick Punch.
I didn't hate.
Dick Punch is coming, dude.
I didn't hate that.
I despise that.
Although the
was the last
creature is not
movie.
Godzilla.
That was the last movie I ever saw at the Rex. when
Look
it
at
was
it
still
this
a movie
way.
Theater.
Take that
I
movie.
hated that flick.
Take that Godzilla movie. Print out your own cover for the DVD that says "The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms."
Or Jurassic Park.
Right, and then it works
1.0.
perfectly well. It's not a very. It's not. The only thing that's wrong with that movie is that the creature is not Godzilla.
The Nostalgia Critic actually did a review of Godzilla where he has
that guy.
Oh, I love him. He does some good shit.
Nostalgia
He does some
Critic?
good shit. But he has actual scenes from
Yeah, he's fucking
Jurassic
awesome.
Park next to scenes from Godzilla, and they're practically the same
Sure.
fucking scenes.
I mean, what can you do with dinosaurs?
So it's
all
Big
all the
monster.
little baby Godzillas was completely
Yeah.
pointless and stupid.
That's my favorite part of the movie.
Minya, dude.
Tim.
Minya?
Stop trying to be Mike.
Godzuki?
Godzuki.
Everybody loves Baby Godzilla.
I love
Okay.
Godzuki.
Godzuki was badass. Did you ever see those?
Oh, yeah.
You're very young. Have you seen the animated Godzilla?
Godzilla.
I don't know.
Godzuki.
I grew up on that shit.
It was
I
awesome.
loved that shit. Okay, and my only
terrible.
the only horror movie. Oh wait a minute, Wolverine, 414 million.
That was really
I wanted
good.
to see that.
That was really good.
I haven't checked on
We
the
can watch it on
exact
demand right now if
numbers.
you want.
It kind of
Well, I have to.
it doesn't
open
fall
tomorrow.
I
apart,
know,
but it's
but-
sort of like
So it's already past my bedtime.
there. You can tell the exact scene where it's like they kind of switch gears. There's a scene where he goes. Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay, you guys
I have
didn't see
not.
it. There's a scene. Well, there's a scene. It's not going to ruin anything. You know, it's the ninja thing. There's a scene where he's approaching the place, and the ninjas have shot him up all full of arrows and everything like that. That's the very moment that it stops being this really awesome, almost James Bond kind of it's like Bourne Identity, but with Wolverine, and then
Okay.
it turns into a superhero movie.
And then all of a sudden they're like, wrap it up.
Yeah,
Let's wrap it up.
yeah, really. And then there's like mechs, and
They're
and,
they're
you know.
actually saying it might be the most profitable of all of the
It
X-Men
was
films
fantastic.
so far.
He's so good in that role.
It's
He's
amazing
just
how
great.
they turned that franchise around.
It's because he loves that role.
Yeah,
It's like when you find an actor who, after doing the role for 10 years, still loves the role. Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
when you get the best acting.
The first Wolverine Origins is the best.
Bad movie.
Well,
I didn't hate it.
it's
didn't
the
hate it, but I
best
didn't-
previously on that I've ever seen. So you know when you watch TV shows, it's like previously on Lost, and they show all these clips from shows that happened
Yeah.
before. That's
Yeah.
what Wolverine Origins is. It's
Yeah,
like
kinda is.
previously on X-Men, and it's all these little brief
Vignette
little
things.
moments of the oh look, there's Deadpool to make everybody happy who wants to see a Deadpool movie, but then they go and I don't understand why they chose to do that with Deadpool, but
That.
That
which
was
by the
very
way,
odd.
nerds, Deadpool movie is never going to happen.
Actually, they're saying right now it's closer than it's ever been before to
They
happen.
said the same thing about an Ant-Man movie 3 years ago.
But
I don't see a Deadpool standalone working, because the best Deadpool is whenever he's playing off of someone else.
Right. And it would have to be rated R. They would have to have the balls to make a rated R comic book movie.
Yeah.
we did Blade as rated R, so
It would be
welcome
But that-
back to Blade.
Blade
But-
actually started the whole Marvel movie renaissance. If you think about it,
It,
Oh,
it
yeah,
totally
I've said-
did.
yeah,
It
I've
Blade,
said
totally
that.
did.
Blade was the
Yeah.
first like.
And it was also
viable
from their
Marvel-
adult line, too.
Actually, was Blade the first?
It was
The
Yeah.
first Marvel movie was Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
yeah.
Was
Awesome.
actually the
No, it
first,
wasn't.
and I love Howard the Duck.
Never happened.
I love that movie too.
Never happened.
It's
Can't
so
prove
bad.
it.
It's bad, but it's.
I have the
It's-
special
I love it,
edition.
Yeah,
I
think
do.
it's-
I enjoyed the hell
I don't
out
think
of
it's
that.
bad. I just think, and like the comics, if you've ever read Howard the Duck comic, it's so bizarre that you don't know
What
how to
can you do
market
with
it.
the, yeah? What can you do with the source?
Nobody
material?
can watch it and like make what do you make?
Who-
of
They
it?
took the satire out of it, too. I actually read Howard the Duck when I was 6 years old. That might have been what happened to me. But when I was 6 years old, my brother collected them, and I would read these Howard the Duck things, and they are hardcore, dude. They are like the Screw magazine of Marvel Comics.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had to take all of that out for the live action, and
Man
But
Thing.
they left the tits in.
Doesn't Man Thing have a big thing to do with Howard the Duck? The nexus of all realities is
Yeah,
controlled
yeah,
by the
that's
Man
part
Thing,
of it.
and that's where Howard
Another
appeared.
Marvel film that did not do well.
Man Thing.
Did you see it?
It wasn't horrible, but for a low-budget horror movie, it wasn't necessarily Man Thing.
But
Yeah,
Lucas
it wasn't
Lucas
Man Thing.
wanted to release a basically you had heavy metal that came out and rock and roll, and all of a sudden you had like these grown-up animated movies that you could do.
Fritz the Cat.
He wanted to do Howard the Duck as an animated thing and keep all of the sex and satire and drug use and everything in it. But the studio said, no, you owe us a live-action movie.
Yeah.
We gave you money for a live-action movie, you give us a live-action movie, even though it would have cost a lot less to do it animated. And so he said, okay, then now we have to do Howard the Duck as live-action. How do we have to change it now?
The husband and wife team that wrote that also wrote Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So,
Well, at least it wasn't Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull works if you think about it a certain way. Here's how
We're
you
talking
think
about the
Crystal
vodka,
Skull.
right?
Yeah, Crystal Skull. Here's how you got to approach it. The movies are done in the style of the decade in which they take place. So the 1930s ones are 1930s movie serials. The 1950s one is a 1950s B movie with giant bugs and nukes and all that stuff.
Okay, the last thing I want to say on that film is I don't think it's even remotely as bad as people make it out to be. It did have a couple of okay moments in it. I will always love Last Crusade the most. It didn't come close to that. The idea of them killing off both Sean Connery's character
Oh, he
and
retired.
Well, but
everyone else. And
their characters were
it's-
old, so by the 50s,
Yeah.
those two characters would have been at an appropriate
Well,
age
the
where
actors.
they would have passed
Well, the
on.
one actor died,
Yeah.
so they can't have him.
Oh,
and
crap, the
then
guy in the fez.
Denholm
What's his name?
Elliott. Denholm Elliott died of.
He was
Died
in.
of AIDS. I think
Don't
he
know.
did.
The guy in the fez. He was in Sliders.
Oh, Sala. Yeah, Sala.
What's the name of that actor?
John
He
Rhys
was like-
Davies.
Yeah,
John
it would have been
Rhys
nice if they had thrown him in for crying out loud,
Very dangerous. You go first.
It's like,
or even throw
India,
short
cannot
round
come.
in.
That's the one
I
thing.
am fighting
okay.
the Muslim Brotherhood in 1950s
How awesome would this
Egypt.
be if Mike Wood wrote Crystal Skull? Okay, if they bring Mike Wood into to script doctor, here's how it would have ended. Okay, they get married, right? Because everybody knows they get married at the end of it. They walk out. They get into the limo. They say something cute to each other, and Harrison Ford goes, "Shorty, get us out of here." And Short Round's driving the fucking limo.
And he shoots Shia
It
LaBeouf.
would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome. There we go. I think we got a movie here.
It would have been
That's a movie, I tell you.
awesome. It would have been this great little thing that people would have cheered for at the end.
Oh,
of
and
that
then
movie.
Short Round has to say, "Oh, you got time for love, Dr. Jones?"
No time for love, Dr. Jones.
Even if they couldn't get the actor, just having him say the line and you don't even see the driver, but you know he's there.
Yeah, but what's
that would have been
Ki-Hua
cool.
Kwan doing these days?
I think he's working at an Arby's in...
You know what? You don't
That
want
is
to say
rich.
that because there's like some child actors who like end up becoming people behind the scenes. Like the kid who played Ralphie is like a huge deal producer now.
He is. He directs.
Ralphie
he
from
directs stuff,
Christmas
too.
Story. So you never know where those guys might be. They might be doing nothing. They might be, behind the scenes.
Just a joke, man.
Okay, moving along.
You trying to bend my bolt?
Good year for low budget horror. Conjuring, $20 million budget, pulled in $316 million.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Mama, $15 million budget, $146 million.
Eh,
See, they can
makes me
film
nervous.
horror movies on
The
with low budget.
Purge, $3 million budget. That's one step away from direct to DVD, $89 million return.
I don't mean
some
it.
pretty good numbers. Oh,
I just got a scoop.
You're scooping?
I got a scoop.
Scoop me.
The guy that plays Xander, Zach, whatever his name is, from the Buffy show. What's his name?
uh-huh.
Oh, Nicholas Brendan.
Nicholas Brendan, not Zach. Nicholas Brendan, I believe, is going to be at Steel City Comic Con in April.
Ooh.
Look up Steel City Comic Con.
So they're doing it in April again?
They are doing it at Steel City. They do once every 3-ish
Oh.
months. I just did the Steel City
Wanna do
show,
a
which I
live-
forgot to mention the last time I was on here.
I want to talk about some stuff from that too after we're
Want to
done
do a
with
live?
this.
Want to do a live episode from it?
If they'll give us a free table.
Not going to happen.
No.
You can just walk around and record.
Yep, you can do that,
Harass
but
people.
he doesn't let people have press passes. for
Okay,
free.
and one more. Insidious Chapter 2, $5 million budget, $160 million return.
I want to see those.
Come on.
See,
Like,
there's
what
no middle
budget
ground. This is what
horror
makes me
is-
nervous. Is like everything now is going to either be a real niche thing. Not that there's anything wrong with it. They're like, $5 million, it's going to make $100 million, or they're going to be blockbusters that either make $1 billion or completely fail. I'm afraid for all the movies in the middle. You're 12 Years a Slave. You're The Butler.
12 Years a Slave.
They're
was
pulling in money.
amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
I want
But-
to see that.
But where are those movies going to go?
So
They still have an audience. They
as
still
far
have an
as Steel
audience.
City Comic Con is concerned, Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man, is going to be there. Nicholas Brendan is going to
due
be
to
there.
inflation, he's not nearly
Cindy
as impressive.
Williams.
It's only worth like 3.2 now.
No, well, he'd be worth. I actually figured this out on my Facebook the other day. About 31 million something, 30, almost 32. It's like 31.8.
Okay,
just
to put
shy
that
of
in
the top
perspective-
1%.
To put that in perspective, a lot of movies they make that their opening weekends and then are called a failure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cindy Williams, who plays Shirley on Laverne and Shirley, is going to be
Okay.
there. Brent Spiner
Are they?
is going to be there.
Are they paying you to
Lou
do this?
Ferrigno is going. They're not paying me to do that, but Dermot Crowley, who was General Nadine in the Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
Okay, now we have to go.
Yeah,
Femi
I'd
Taylor,
like to be, yeah.
Femi Taylor, who played Ula, Jabba's dancer.
Oh,
dancer
yeah,
girl.
we're going.
She's going to be there.
She's
Parker
still hot.
Stevenson. Parker Stevenson, who everybody
Boys.
should buy. Everybody should buy an autograph from Parker Stevens just based on the fact that he was married to what's her name from Cheers for the.
Whenever they did the special edition
Kirstie
Star
Alley.
Wars,
Kirstie
she was
Alley.
the only original actor to come back and shoot scenes, and kind of seamless. She
Bruno
held up well.
Sammartino is going to be there.
Oh, cool.
So
Rest
they get a
in
lot of
peace.
they get a lot of good. Like this time around, of course, it was. I was there and it was great.
Can we talk about some
I
controversial
thought you
stuff
do this. Don't you do this?
from this? No, I want to talk about the controversy that happened at Steel City this last time.
Oh, the artist thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to talk about
I have
this.
not
Yeah.
heard about this. What is
It's great.
Tell me if I get any of this wrong. Apparently, there was a vendor from somewhere in New England. I want to say Massachusetts. Who is the kind of booth where he was selling posters and different stuff like that, movie memorabilia, reproduction, stuff like that. And apparently, one of the posters he had, where somebody had, I guess, just printed out the poster and smudged out the artist's name.
Yeah.
That
few of them,
artist,
actually.
that artist
was actually
was
there?
actually there.
No.
And kind of went. No, was not there.
No, you told me to tell. No, he wasn't there, but somebody who knew him.
Somebody who knew
was.
him there. So somebody got outraged for him
Yes.
and went up to the guy and said, "Hey, stop selling that.
Yes.
Put that away. Where did you get that?
Right.
Where's your licensing for that?
Right.
And it was from what I saw online, was a Doctor Who kind of montage.
That was one of
The one that I saw
He had many different
was
artists.
a Doctor Who montage. Then it turned out he had other artists that were doing other licensed characters
Right.
and their thing. And apparently people tried to get the guy thrown out for not
right.
taking it down,
Right.
and
Come on.
eventually,
No. Yeah,
and
it's good.
eventually, the proprietor of the convention,
Yeah.
basically just said to the guys like, "Listen, just put away all your Doctor Who stuff."
Well, okay, wait. Okay, I was there. I was part of it.
Jump in. Let me know.
Okay.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
The whole deal was that the guy was selling. It didn't have anything to really do with the license of the characters. It had to do with the fact that he didn't have permission from the artist to sell the artist's work.
The point I'm going to get into is what about the people who were making artwork based on likenesses and licenses that they didn't hold?
It's
It's
there's
bootlegging.
It's not bootlegging. What it is there's a certain allowance for fan art, and the thing is like I sell prints of like Doctor Who, like all the Doctors and characters from Firefly and all that. And I have them in my bag if you ever want to see them. Available
for sale at a reasonable price.
At a reasonable price, $5 a piece for a little. Anyway, it's fan art. You're allowed to because they look at it as free advertising.
Well,
but
also-
it's your artwork.
Yeah,
It's
but
your,
like every mall in America, you can find like one store that like or kiosk that has that artwork from The Sopranos or
Here's
something.
my
Yeah.
question, and tell me if I'm completely off base here, because I understand that there's a certain, because I'm sure that like if somebody is drawing pictures of Green Lantern, I'm sure DC is, well, we don't want, number one, it'd be stupid to waste a lot of money on lawyers to, hey,
Yeah, they're just-
stop
yeah,
rating.
they don't buy
and
it.
plus, it is kind of free advertising, and they probably figure the people that are making it aren't making enough money to make it worth our while
Yeah.
to get a cease and
I mean,
desist.
this
It's probably
Is that-
part. Yeah,
is-
that's probably.
but
is
here's
just-
my question: then you got these artists who are like, I've seen people at cons who like, oh my God, so and so just did this Boba Fett sketch for me, and I paid $500 for it, which is awesome because on the collector's market it's already worth $1,000 just because this guy's so big.
Well, those guys are assholes.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is there a difference between just because they don't sue you for infringing on their copyright, which technically you're doing?
No.
No, if
Hold
you were reproducing specific covers of comic books, if you were reproducing
No.
existing art,
Could
it
the
would be
person,
different.
Could the
Okay.
person who does this actually chime in?
Yeah, that's
And I have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Like,
no,
I'm
go
a little
ahead, go
confused about this. Now, this was like a drawing that someone had done by hand. It wasn't just printed off.
No. It was a piece of artwork that somebody drew and created and I think painted.
Yeah.
But
But it was based
and
on
had
someone.
up on their website. And
but it was
essentially,
based on someone else's work.
no.
Basically,
no.
somebody
I mean,
took it
it's
off the
based
web.
off.
Somebody made fan art.
Yeah, somebody drew the doctors.
Someone just redrew another drawing.
No.
Somebody drew their own version,
Okay.
their own fan
Right.
art version of a character.
And
Okay.
somebody
It wasn't-
somewhere yanked it off the internet and printed it out, but smudged out the artist's name.
Okay, that's kind
and
of
was
screwed
selling
up.
it.
So yeah,
That's kinda
so the
screwed up
guy's
then,
basically
yeah.
making money off of somebody
But
else's
really,
work.
with like the amount of bootlegs and crap that is sold at most
Well,
conventions, is this really something to get
The
up in
bootleg
arms
DVD
enough
thing is
about?
something that is kind of it's another one of those things where, and there have been cons where the cops have shown up and busted bootleg DVD guys.
Yeah.
But it's another
There's
one of
not-
those things
there's
that's
not
sort
the
of like an
market.
understood kind of. It
And the
usually
market's
it's
not
stuff
what it
that's not
used to.
available in America.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Yeah, it's usually like
It's what
like
they say. It's a
old-
collector's market. You're buying.
Yeah, like
you're paying for the work and the materials.
Okay,
involved in
so
creating it.
so you've got the fair use part on the artist part that I can take.
So, well, let me before I forget it. Okay, here's the thing. Somebody goes up to Mike Mignola or somebody at a con and says, "Can you draw?" It's the first name I pulled up, but it's, "Can you draw Darth Vader?" So he draws Darth Vader, right? And then gets excited because this Darth Vader sketch online on eBay will get me such and such amount of money. It's the reason it gets such and such amount of money is that it's drawn by Mike Mignola, not who it is. It's the artist that does it.
Yeah.
You know that's the, And also, I mean, something's only worth as much as somebody's going to be willing to pay for it. So if somebody sees, I do con sketches all the time. I did a Ninja Turtle. I did.
It
Blue
seems
Beetles, I
strange
did-
to me, and tell me if I'm way off base here. Seems strange, especially because I've bought stuff from that booth before. We've bought stuff from that booth. When I saw the picture of the booth, it was like, oh, this guy at the Pittsburgh Comic Con. I've bought stuff from him before. In that kind of business, is it possible that somebody came into his store with just a bunch of collectibles? It just seems strange to me that somebody would go through the time to take something from the internet,
Yeah.
spend $4 to print it out.
Now if they think they can make $25
They-
to $30.
no, it was $10. They were $10 a piece.
Well,
It was $10 a piece. I saw it
yeah.
in the pictures.
No.
$10 a piece, 3 for $25. It just seems to me to be a lot of work for not
Yeah.
that much gain
Yeah.
to gank somebody's
A
artwork.
lot of those guys also have their own printers. They have their own large scale printers. That's why when you buy, you go there and you buy like a Rocketeer movie poster, you're not buying an original issued Rocketeer movie poster. You're printing. Sorry.
Wait a minute. eBay lied to me.
Oh yeah.
Those
You're buying
bastards.
things that they print out in there. They have large scale printers. They have 11 by 17, or they go to even a Kinko's. You can get an
Even
11
those
by
posters
17.
are not cheap to make.
No,
Though. I
they're
mean,
they're
the
not. But
amount
if you
that-
own the machine,
If you own the machine,
yeah.
okay, then
It's all
then
over
it
it.
costs
Yeah.
$2
yeah.
instead of $4 to make $8. It just seems to me to be, and
It
also
doesn't seem like a good marketing strategy.
it doesn't seem like you're going to make a lot of money. Number
Well, what
one,
you do is-
number two, and that goes back to somebody asked me to do like Chewbacca as a Green Lantern.
That's
one of the ones you did.
Mm-hmm.
And right, so you do it, and here's, I don't know, here it took me a half hour, give me $20 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but that's an original drawing.
It's
too.
an original drawing, but it just...
Well,
the outrage I saw online from people that I see on chat boards and different things all the time, talking about different places where you can get this movie and rip it for free.
Yeah.
Or get this comic book for free, and then somebody's making $5 off of your artwork, and you're like, my
there's
copyright has been infringed upon.
It's not my copyright has been infringed upon. It's that you're selling my artwork without giving me the proper credit or the money. Because
but if somebody brought it in as a collection, somebody said, "Hey, I'm selling all my nerd stuff."
That's not what it was, though. And just for economic purposes, if you want to know the way that you buy yourself a large scale printer, you could print out full size movie posters, or you could print out 4 11x17 posters and cut them down and save your money. Like honestly, they're making a lot of money off of them. Like I will be honest with you, like one of my prints cost me about $1, and I make $5 a piece off of them. That's pretty decent for somebody who's a nobody. You get these guys who they own an online business. They go to cons all over the place. They're making bank, and the problem wasn't so much as that they were making bank off. Now, okay, there is a double standard about people who look at corporations, major publishing corporations, and think, they can afford a bootleg of a movie from time to time. They're multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Time to time,
all the time.
Moral
Right.
relativism, and it's worse because
it's not right.
Do you know why all movies are in 3D now? I sincerely believe this. I believe so many people are ripping off movies, and people not going to movies, they're losing money. It's like, okay, well, we'll put them in DVD, we'll put them in 3D, and then you can't watch it in 3D on your computer. So if people want to see this movie the way it was intended, then they have to come to the theater.
I'm thinking,
and the math bears me out.
Within the next 10 years, I'm thinking they're going to make movies, probably maybe even less than that, but I'm going to say within the next 10 years, that's my theory, that they're going to make films available online the day that they're released in the theaters. Because there'd be no reason...
They have been doing that.
Yeah, well, for lower budget things. And
Piranha 3 Double D.
But like these major releases, they're going to start
major
doing...
releases, I don't see
it
them
would
doing
cut
that
down on It would cut down on bootleggers.
I mean, the time between movie hitting theater to movie hitting DVD shelf has become like so...
4 months or something.
Yeah, that. I mean, like sometimes it'll be like 2 months.
It seems hypocritical to me. And again, I am not a producer. I'm not a producer of this sort of artwork. So I don't know. I've never felt the pain of somebody stealing something of mine.
Yeah.
Or however it's perceived.
Well, I mean, they had a guy who...
So what ended up happening with the guy? They basically said, put away all your Doctor Who stuff? Or
anything that was from an artist that was not credited to the artist was removed from the display.
So if it didn't have the signature on it?
Well, if it was a recognizable piece by somebody that was not there to actually, and had no association with that company whatsoever, it was removed from the thing. Now, originally, the biggest problem, where the real outrage came from, was that the person who was, for lack of a better term, the whistleblower on it, was threatened with being expelled from the con by the con organizer for, quote-unquote, starting trouble. Now, he has since understood what she was talking about, issued a wonderful apology to her for the treatment. He just wasn't really quite clear what was going on until it was made clear to him, and he was brought to the thing, and it was explained to him, this is what's going on. So there's this one night of confusion over what was happening, and there was a solidarity thing going on. There was a thing where they said that if she is expelled, then we're all leaving. I was part of it. Other people were part of it. That we were just going to get... And in the long run, the only thing that would happen is that we would lose out on sales for those days, because who gives a shit if we leave? But that's less vendors than would actually attend his show, and nothing is worse than getting bad press, bad rep, or bad or good. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, there's you just don't do that. I mean, there was another guy at the Pittsburgh Comic Con, and I mean, unfortunately, I actually know him very well, and he's a friend of mine and stuff, and it turned out that there wasn't one original piece of artwork in his entire portfolio, that he was going online to Etsy
Well, then people
DeviantArt.
like that should have the whistle
He was
blown on
printing
them.
stuff out and tracing it on a light box and saying it was his.
Oh, wait a minute. It was traced on a light box? Okay, it's cool.
Yeah, right, right. Like, saying it was
Fair
his.
use.
He made
This
he's
copy
making
is
amends for it.
satirical.
Right. He's making amends for it, and he's paying back people and all these other things, and he's doing the right thing. But that
Only
just
after
doesn't.
he was caught.
Yeah.
Only after he was caught. That's right. But as it was explained to
His
me, and it
cred
made
is
sense.
pretty much blown
he got
away.
addicted to the easy money. I'm not
That
justifying
doesn't
it
seem
by
like
saying
very
so.
easy money, though. It doesn't seem
But,
like the
you know,
amount of
it-
time...
Compared to
he
what?
If you have
Compared
any,
to taking a
if you have
compared-
any kind of artistic
lot-
ability, a light box is
It's a lot
pretty much
easier
like
than sitting down and drawing something on your own out of your noggin. When you
Your
can go
brain
online
bucket.
and somebody's already done the work for you.
yeah,
know.
it's
Yeah, so how
if
much
you-
money
I
can you
mean,
put...
any
Now-
kind of artistic
now,
skill, a light box is like
on the
copying
other
and
hand-
pasting from 3 different versions of Spark Notes to make your paper.
Andy Warhol made an entire career and fame out of doing that. He would just sign his name to other people's work all the time.
Oh yeah, but
That's
they
what the
worked for
factory
him,
was.
and
Right,
he
right.
paid them.
A little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
He
different.
paid them a wage
Yeah,
to do that.
but it was part of what made him who he is because he was kind of pulling one over on the entire art community and things like that. But that kind of shit's been going on for forever.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just-
there's a big difference
more and more
between that and
cons you
Andy
do-
Warhol.
Yeah, well, the more and more cons you do, and the more and more exposure to other artists that you have, somebody's bound to event, and that's what happened to this guy that I know. Somebody recognized his artwork from somewhere and pulled us aside and was like, "I've seen that before, and not
from him."
Man, I would really love to have that Andy Warhol Owlman from the Watchmen movie painting. Did you see that?
Oh,
Where it's
yeah.
Owlman, but it's like the Marilyn
I'm sure you
Monroe
could
thing.
find something online. For
Could
it. You
print
just
it
go
out.
into Photoshop and make your own.
Or just find
I'll
a
just
picture
rip off,
of it.
I'll just
and,
find someone who's ripping it off
Right.
and buy a copy off them.
Print it out. Yeah.
Okay,
you know,
and
I hear that there's a website where you can get the plans to do that for free.
That's right. There's a lot of
and the
stuff.
last
It's just such a conundrum, and as I'm just saying, as nerd culture becomes mainstream culture, as it is more and more, these things are going to be sussed out
Well,
because I think there's going to come a tipping point where all of a sudden people are going to say, well, it's just, gee, now instead of making $10 on using our licensed characters, now you're making $100 every time,
Well,
and you're going to have to get licensed. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Marvel and DC and these things are like, listen, it's not going to be a lot of money, but you're going to have to be licensed by us, so we know that you are not sullying our name.
with people selling their crap online, I could definitely see that happening.
Well, the
But with
technology
people
is
selling their
catching up
stuff,
to the thieves, is what it
the
is.
people selling their crap at conventions, I don't think you could come down that heavy-handed on them.
You could also, what I actually probably should do on my stuff. Well, I don't know. Sometimes people put a little blurb on there saying that, like, Batman copyright DC Comics
Yeah.
Incorporated, if they draw a picture of Batman or something like that. But everybody knows that Batman is copyright.
Right, and
It's
the thing is, they're all your takes on the thing.
right.
The one that I saw online of the Doctor Who thing, which is lovely. I'd like to buy an actual one if I could afford the damn thing. You could tell the guy basically freeze framed different episodes of
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he did it freehand or if he like printed it out and did with the
Yeah.
shadow box or whatever. But like, Leela is standing there, with the knife. It's like, oh, I remember the
That's
episode
why.
that was
That's
in.
why for me personally, just because I try not to. I mean, it's not even I try not to. I just don't work off of photos from any episode of anything I've ever seen. I'll look at one for likeness purposes, but I will not draw them in any familiar position. I will not trace over them. I
Yeah,
won't do any of that.
They
because
did that all the time for like Star Wars.
even a still,
novel
yeah,
covers
even a
and
still
stuff.
photo is somebody's work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
so
going to get
I
sussed out.
don't. I don't choose to do. There are guys that basically what you're seeing is a painted version of a photo that's available somewhere.
Right.
They still painted it and everything like that, and as far as their talent and their hard work is concerned, it's there. But the initial what they're doing, and I mean, Alex Ross has made an entire career of painting photos. They're just his photos.
Yeah, like
they're his photos.
Like I was saying, like the Star Wars novel covers, you could tell. Okay, that's a specific moment from Return of the Jedi.
Right, they're using
that they're just
references.
recreating.
Right, and
That's
and-
kind of cheap.
It is cheap. I mean, yeah, they do paint it like Drew Struzan does that. Drew Struzan works off of photo references. You know, he
I'm sure
and
they
he's-
all do.
yeah.
But
there are certain, but see, Drew Struzan is given the job
I mean,
of
at what
producing a
point
movie
is
poster,
it,
and he's
you
given
know,
the
I can just put a
material to
paint
do it.
filter in Photoshop and get the same effect for crying
and
out
then
loud.
and then you would be
So-
and then you would be Alexander Maleev, who drew Daredevil for the longest time. It's basically photos and a paint filter, from what I understand. I might be wrong.
Well, at least he wasn't Rob Liefeld.
Oh.
That's a whole other
Okay,
show.
so let's. We're a little
No,
over 2 hours
no.
right now. Let's talk about our hopes and fears for 2014
Oops.
in nerd culture.
Oh, okay. It's like the end of the world.
No, that was last year.
What is
That was
20,000? 2014. What's 20,000?
2014, like, I'm very much looking forward to Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that looks
That's
awesome.
that's going to.
That looks-
I think I'm
that
going to
looks really
watch that more than once.
The
My fear is that Agents of Shield won't get better because I so want to like that movie.
it's just not very good.
It's just not, and I want it to be. And you were right, and I hate it when you're right.
The best episode so far has been the one that kind of directly but indirectly tied into the Thor movie.
Yeah, that's like
It wasn't anything that anybody thought it was. There were people online saying it's going to be them fighting the monster from the end of. No, it's not. But it was cute.
cleaning
It
up
was
the
good.
mess of the mess.
And you know you had Peter McNichol in there, which makes
Have we
everything
gotten an
better.
explanation for how the hell Coulson is alive yet?
No.
It's
Okay.
supposedly coming, but it's probably going to take another 5
It'll
episodes
be like
to get
the
there.
end.
Anyone else thinking droid?
No.
Yeah,
Okay, that's just me.
I think he was
I
brought
think
he was brought to, or what would be great is that they explain that he's always been an android and that's why he's
I could
in
see them going with
he
that.
appears everywhere in all of these movies, you know. That would be really fun. But
Because-
I think it just has something to do with Asgard or something. But the
I think he's an android.
so do the writers. Okay.
I think Clark Gregg is going to be the Vision, but we've
Coulson,
had this
how
argument
dare
before.
you.
We'll have it again. This time I'll be right.
Coulson, what
I
are
think-
you doing here?
I think the
Asgard shit.
people who are doing the casting for the Man of Steel sequel are drunk and need to go home.
Oh, there's something we can talk about real quick.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm still on the. I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. I think that one dude who was Conan is gonna be Lex Luthor.
I think he's too young. I think he's going to be Aquaman. I think this is going to just call it Justice League for cripe's sake. Come
I think
on.
he's gonna
I
be
think we want to
Doomsday.
go with Batman versus Superman or Superman
Doomsday is
versus
too big
Batman.
for this movie. I think. I think you have to build up to Doomsday.
Yeah, I agree. But
I think he's going to be
I think it has a better.
Jimmy Olsen.
I
Parasite.
think Batman and Superman has a better marquee value than Justice League. I really do. think
It
so.
probably does, but it's like, okay, we got Momoa, who like I said, I think he's going to be Aquaman.
Yeah.
Either Aquaman,
I see
Hawkman,
that. It's the
maybe Martian
ugliest
Manhunter.
Aquaman ever.
What's that?
He's an unattractive man.
Momoa?
Aquaman's
not?
supposed to be this beautiful Aryan. No, I just Momoa's
Well,
got
he
this
does-
big old facial scar, which is really funny.
He's a
Not
fairly
funny,
attractive
but
Well,
he got into
okay,
a,
maybe he was into it. I don't
in a
know.
Fight, but
And for the record, he's
Doomsday.
not being racist. Like that, he gets kicked out as a baby from Atlantis because he has blonde hair and blue eyes, and in their culture, that means he's cursed and will bring death and destruction to them all.
But then again, in another version, he's actually half human. So
Yeah,
that's
I thought he
another
was
thing you
half
deal
human.
with. It just depends on the if they
Yeah.
Hold on, let me reload my cannon.
Oh,
There you
You
go.
see what I did there?
Open a window.
So yeah, the
Hold my
the-
finger.
You know, the Ben
Damn.
Affleck Batman thing. I mean, wait to see it. Yeah, wait to see it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
all
I
you
have
can
high
do.
hopes. I mean,
Everybody complained that the girl that they picked, the girl that they picked, there were people complaining about that. The girl they picked to play Diana. They haven't said Wonder Woman per se.
Oh.
They've
No,
said
they did.
Diana. But
Yeah, they have.
there were people complaining about that.
Well, she is 95 pounds soaking wet with rocks
yeah,
in her pocket.
but she's a model right now. But you get a personal trainer in there.
if you'd seen,
Oh, she's also was in the Israeli army, so
You've
she's
seen
going to do
Chris-
fine
She's
with the fighting
beautiful.
scene.
Christian
She's a beautiful.
Bale back when he was in The Machinist and how
Right,
skinny as hell he was.
She's
They-
a
you can
beautiful,
bulk up
dark-haired. Well, that's funny because if you look at certain scenes in Batman Begins, he's like huge as a bear because they said after the Machinist that you have to gain a bunch of weight now to be Batman, and he went overboard. Like the scenes where he's training with Ra's al Ghul's people,
Oh,
he's gigantic. Like he's big, barrel-chested, huge, and then he
Which
goes
is what
back to
Batman's
being-
supposed to be.
I don't know. It depends.
Well, Frank
What's
Miller
the-
Supposed to
Batman,
be.
Frank Miller Batman.
I don't
Nipples
think
on
any
the suit.
I don't think any. You shouldn't be able to look at a guy and say he might be a
Wow,
superhero.
that is
when they're a
scary when you're
superhero.
on the receiving end.
You know, like
Well, that's why he wears big suits.
also you got to think too. Big guys, as a big guy, I'm not a big muscular guy, but I'm sure big muscular guy. They're not very quick
Also,
Not
like
very
in
fast.
Dark Knight, there's a noticeable difference between the two bat suits. He looks a hell of a lot bulkier at the beginning than he does in the later.
Well, they
bat
switch
suit.
it. Yeah, they switch it. They switch it out in the movie, and of course, the
Yeah,
movie
I
they
know,
talk
I
about.
know, because he needs to move his neck.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the joke.
Like the
and when he
second-
says it'll make backing out of the driveway a lot easier, I think that's hilarious. That's really
How
wonderful.
it'll work against dogs? You ought to be okay against cats.
And then thus Catwoman comes into the next movie, which is really funny. But no, I mean it's I'm curious because Man of Steel. I don't know. Man of Steel was gorgeous and had some great, like all the Krypton stuff was awesome. Like, so I want to see a
Didn't
Krypton
have a red
movie.
sun.
one last little
Fuck
thing.
you.
One last little thing that just
Did it?
does not
Didn't have a red sun.
Did they even show
did
it?
not
Fuck
even notice
you.
that. But
Had a weak yellow sun, and that's
how the
why.
hell is he going to be Clark Kent after everything that just happened? Putting on a pair of glasses is not going to work, dude.
It's going to work with people who don't know you to begin with. Lois knows.
His face has been everywhere.
Lois knows. Well, I mean,
Anyone who doesn't know has been taking stupid pills.
here's what I think it is I think here's the thing. If
With
you
the popularity of the Kardashians, that could work anywhere in America.
if you knew that Superman,
point
that a
taken.
guy, well, and the other thing too is they're like, okay, who's Superman? Well, he's a 6 foot, 6.5 foot tall guy with dark hair. I mean, there's thousands of 6.5 foot tall guys with dark hair, but like, if you knew somebody was Superman, if you knew that they were secretly Superman, like knew him almost on like even like you get the feeling that Perry White might even know and things like that from Man of Steel. You kind of just keep your mouth shut.
I buy it a lot
know?
more in the Donner version than I do in this version.
Oh, because he's a completely different personality.
In the
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
comics, in the 70s, they actually had an issue. I can't remember. It was late 200s of Action Comics. No, not Action. Anyway, where they showed how it worked, and basically the way they did it was he vibrates his thing. So they showed like in the mirror what everybody else sees, and the way he does it, according with the Krypton and it's a magic,
Yeah.
is he looks like a nebby guy with a receding hairline who wears glasses.
I
He
think
looks more like Woody Allen than Clark Kent.
What was great is that they
Or that's Superman.
in All Star Superman, Frank Quietly, who draws everybody like they're made out of mashed potatoes, but Frank Quietly showed that he disguises himself. It's all in posture and how he holds himself and how he conducts himself and how he it's possible
Think
for
about
people who,
Christopher Reeve's version. Also, like he really was two different characters in
Yeah.
that movie.
well
If
the
he
other,
really pulled that off well, and I don't see this actor doing that.
you could play off of the fact that people generally don't pay attention. They really don't. They don't. If they have no reason to pay attention, they won't pay attention. That's why Lois always figured out that he was Superman, because Lois was trying to figure out that he was
You know,
Superman.
I'm fairly sure that Mick Jagger and Alanis Morissette are the same person, but
Right,
no one will listen
right,
to me.
right.
I mean, have you seen them in the same place
No.
at the same time?
No, and I can.
I'm just saying. So.
You never know. You might be right. So I don't know. I just think
I have the same theory for Scarlett Johansson and Warwick Davis.
I think
Don't ask me
Superman-
why. It's just a theory. It's the
Superman
hair.
should be one of those things where I always imagine Superman working really well if he doesn't stick around very long. If he does what he has to do and leaves.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't stand around for
Doesn't-
photo ops and things like that. He does what he has to do and he
Yeah, but then he'd
leaves.
be more
What?
Batman than Superman.
Right, and Batman, I don't think you should
I mean,
ever even
Superman-
actually see Batman. Batman
Super-
should be a shadow. You
Yeah,
should
I
never
mean,
see anything.
I like it better when they like do him as like an urban legend
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Gotham, and no one's really sure if a Batman exists.
Okay, we're wrapping up.
But that's kind of hard to do when, one day you're saving the world with the Super Friends, and the next day you're going back to being Frank Miller Batman. I don't
That's why
understand how
Batman
that...
doesn't work in the Justice. Well, he kind of depends.
So-
Batman doesn't work in the DC universe the same way that the X-Men do not work in the Marvel universe. I'm going to argue
filthy
that
muties.
it doesn't make any sense. Avengers,
So
okay,
we'll-
X-Men, bad.
We'll have Mikey on again to argue more about this stuff. But we're going to wrap this up for 2013. We'll call this our supersize annual number 1.
End of the
Year one.
Giant-sized man thing.
Number 69.
I wish.
Next week we got...
What?
Next week we got to talk about this playing card that someone left here. And the
Is
Frank
it really?
Miller's.
Ah, the playing card.
Yeah, the year one
Yes.
Batman.
This is our last one for the year. Because it's the end of the year. We're going to be back recording on the 5th or 6th, I believe. and we'll have some more guests next year. We'll argue about some more nerd stuff. So for the Nerd Exchange podcast, I'm Tim Sedgwick.
I'm Kyle Sember. Please visit cthulhu.blogspot.com.
I'm Alec Holland, the Swamp Thing.
Anything else you'd like to plug?
What am I doing?
Yo ass.
I'm actually. Well, I mentioned that the Etsy. I have an Etsy site called Nerdtropolis, where all of my artwork is available for sale.
Fully licensed.
Fully licensed now, and that's it.
I go to your
Seasoned beatings,
site.
everyone.
We got. What's our website again? Nerdexchange.net.
Nerdexchange.net.
Ooh, it's a .net.
We're a .net.
Ooh,
That's because we're
edgy.
awesome. At Nerd Exchange on Twitter, thenerdexchange@gmail.com, Nerd Exchange Western Pennsylvania, the Nerd Exchange podcast for the Facebooks. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for joining us for the year. We'll be back next year. Live what you love. Learn something new every day.
Next week is what he says.
Hey, folks, thanks again for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. It's at Nerd Exchange. Like us on Facebook, the Nerd Exchange Podcast. And also join the group, Nerd Exchange of Western Pennsylvania. And if you have an idea for a segment, thinks we got something wrong, or just want to suggest a guest, it's the nerdexchange@gmail.com. That's the Nerd Exchange, one big long word, @gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget, live what you love and learn something new every day.
As I sit in the back with my crown, bitches get down like bitches get down. Motherfuck you, Mr. Underground. As I sit in the back with my crown, bitches get down like bitches get down. Motherfuck you, Mr. Underground. This is the mother best song ever. If I have words, it would be even better. This is a jam to make your day sunny. Could take it to your hood, maybe make a little money. But don't do a thing, I think it's kind of funny. All I do is sing, motherfucker, make money.
And scene.
Take the mic off because I really need to take off my pants.